Hello, everyone. Welcome to DCEU Mania. I am Captain Logan. We've got a big panel tonight for The Suicide Squad, and we are 3 nights away from the end already of DCEU Mania. Last night we did The Snut, and now we get to reward ourselves for sitting through that again by watching the best movie in the DCEU, according to, I would say most of us, unless you're just a gigantic Man of Steel fan. Like, I guess they're in BVS. Like, I guess there's Snyder fans that don't like this as well, and are also, like, angry at guns. So that camp, there's that. But a lot of us that were not overall real stoked for the DCEU, this is going to be a breath of fresh air. And then right after this, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to watch the antithesis, which is Black Adam. And
the second best DCEU film.
So what we're seeing here is basically and everybody was saying this in the comments before we started. I think I agree with this. The kind of like soft reboot into the DCU already without us even realizing that was going to end up being a thing, and then this attempt at changing the whole face of the DCEU with The Rock, who would now be like our propelling force through the thing, and that crashed and burned. And so then we had to sit through a couple other movies that were kind of in a drawer for a while, and now we've got Superman coming out. So we are right on the precipice of the end of this thing and the transition into the new DCU with Superman coming out in just a couple of weeks. Which is very exciting, and now this all feels a lot more relevant, finally. Once again, I am Captain Logan. Right next to me is my son, Jason.
Hello.
We've got John Sandoval.
Hello, everyone.
And we've got Robert Wild.
Hello.
And, of course, my normal co-host and sidekick, Austin, who has been with me for all of these so far. And, Austin, thanks for being a trooper, man. This, finally, I guess, is our reward for all of this. Austin and I have watched this movie together on camera before, where we actually, prepared and had notes and were, a plan with the Superhero Rewind commentary project.
Is this the only DCU film that you've done a superhero rewind commentary on before?
I think so far that's the only one we've done.
I'm pretty sure.
And that was the second show. That was the first one Austin was on. I did the first show solo, and then decided I really probably needed a co-host for that show, and Austin wanted to get on it. So we are 44 in now. This was the second of them.
That's insane.
And I have not watched this movie since then, so I will not be anything like as articulate about this because I haven't thought about this movie in a long time. But it will be really fun to watch again, and I'm gonna have a lot of help.
And I've been meaning to watch it again. So, and then you announced this, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just wait to be on this, and then I'll be able to watch it again.
Because you just really want to watch some people who died?
Yeah. I mean, I can just go listen to that
song. I think
the
Rewind is also the last time I saw this.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I've been meaning to rewatch it recently, especially with Superman coming out and then Peacemaker in August. I'll probably... I don't know if I'll rewatch this now, closer to that, but I'll definitely go through Season 1 before August.
Well, I was going to say, still a lot more in the forefront of your mind than mine, because you watched through Peacemaker, and I only saw that pilot, and talking over it, and it's just not my
I've probably
bag.
seen that show 5 times. I've seen it a couple times.
And then, of course, Creature Commandos, which we reviewed the first few episodes of, and I really liked, but I've not gone back to. I think maybe I watched the next episode or two, but I haven't finished it. I don't know, I just always forget to get back to these things.
You at least messaged me about the... G.I. Robot episode, which was the next one after we watched. So you at least watched that one.
I did watch that one. I should go back to that at some point. I just keep forgetting about it. I don't know. Right along with Superman and Lois and just all this stuff that I'm like, no, it's not that it's bad. I've got so much going on. I always forget to go back to these things. So, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get into it. As always, we're doing Patreon answers to 3 questions, and if you would like to participate in that, we'll make sure and refresh our pages before the show's over, in case you haven't gotten yours in yet. Patreon.com/Geekvolution. Just the $2 tier makes it possible to interact with us in that way. Those have been really fun. We've gotten a lot of interesting responses, kind of reviews with that, and you can do that for the next couple of nights. We've got, again, 2 more of these left, but 4 more movies, so there's still time to get yours in for those. And you can also, of course, comment live tonight and leave super chats any dollar amount if you want your opinion guaranteed to be heard. But you can also just leave comments and we'll try to respond to at least some of them. Like I said, big panel. A lot of folks watching this movie with me tonight. I'll have a lot of help. So I will try not to dominate the conversation too much. Because you guys remember this movie better than I do. And I always struggle for even character names because I just don't know this movie that well. And it took me 4 times watching it before I finally liked it. And now I really, really love it. It's great.
I loved it on the first watch, and I forgot.
I've been indoctrinated. Yeah, Jason was like, what are you talking about? This is great. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
It's just because it's a gun film. I feel like you'll have to keep going back to the theater for Superman. Like,
it would be really funny if that happened.
That's my
That's your prediction?
Yeah, that's my prediction.
I will say the one gun movie I didn't have that with was Guardians 1. Well, I guess Guardians 1 and 2, because I still feel the same way about that sequel as I did the first time, I guess. But and
it's the best one.
And I'm not willing to watch Super 4 times, so
We'll get there on Rewind. I'm excited for that one.
Somebody's gonna have to request it anyway. Let's.
It's perfect time. Superman is coming out in July. Gunn made Super. Now he's making Superman.
He should have just called it Man, honestly.
Perfect time to do it.
Braden Atkinson, when you were teasing this Mania, I thought it was going to be a DCEU Mania of some sort. Don't tempt me. I have been kicking such a thing around. In some capacity, I just haven't figured out exactly how I will approach that.
We gotta do some Marvel animated stuff.
I do want to do a watch party thing on DCEU at some point. I bet I wouldn't have to twist my arm to get Robert to that.
That's true.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Timestamp 0. Get ready to press play when I say now. And I'm an idiot because first I have to bring the movie up.
This is the first one I'm watching on disc. It's the only one I own.
Oh, nice.
I think you told me about that. Oh, they finally put the Minecraft movie on HBO Max.
Ah, yes. Jack and Jackie. Although it's a Minecraft cap, not
I know.
the Minecraft.
I know. It's awkward to say that, though. They finally put a Minecraft movie.
Oh, wow, you skip forward.
This is the release I've got. This was.
I feel like that's the first one you've had in a while that's not a DVD and is open.
And is open and is like a special release. I think this was another Target exclusive release. And
yeah, I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, so it's got this cool slipcover, and then this. I actually half expected this to be in the shrink wrap, but it's not. I'm pretty sure I watched special features on this when we did the rewind on it. But anyway, so here's the case. So this is probably the regular case for this movie. Somebody tell me because I can't remember.
It is.
And then it had, what did it have? Like some cool cards, had like oversized.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Cards. Yeah,
for all the characters.
For all the major characters.
So that you can remember the characters.
Polka Dot Man and King Shark and it's even got one for the Thinker. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I forgot about these. Oh, and it's even got one for Savant. So not even major characters. It's like everybody.
Well, I remember they made those for that initial, I think, Fandom announcement where they showed off all the characters.
Yes.
Because I remember that King Shark one, somebody made a Rocky edit of it where he's wearing Rocky shorts.
Is it the same art from that thing?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and watch it. I'm getting past my HBO logo here. If you're watching it on Max, you want to do that. And once again, get ready to press play when I say now. I'm just about to. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
John, do you own this film physically?
I do. I forgot to grab it, but I have a steelbook.
Ooh, nice.
Austin, that's a good trivia question. What are the first words uttered in the Suicide Squad? Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
I would be able to answer that one. That's something that I always remember with this movie.
I'll have to commit that to memory now.
Don't worry, it'll be a trivia question soon.
Great.
On the
Great.
Captain Logan
You know
show.
what? That's gonna be my strategy from now on for your trivia quizzes. I'm gonna give you really good questions that I know you'll use,
And you
then
gotta
commit them
remember
to
it.
memory, right?
Yep.
Victor Herman, 499 Super Chat. Why aren't there more superhero movie directors who write their own movies? We don't have a lot of great writer-directors in superhero movies, and I think a lot of that is because it's such a, commercial collaborative. The studio's really concerned about how expensive they are, and so it's just too many...
Very producer-driven.
Very producer-driven, too many hands in the pie. The real question is how James Gunn managed to, no pun intended, weasel himself into this universe, both with Marvel and DC, to the point where they gave him that kind of creative freedom to write his own movies.
Especially at Marvel, like with here, like okay, he's had the Guardians movies, and that's why they hired him. But with Guardians, he had Super and Slither, and Super bombs, and I don't think Slither does very well either. I don't know if it's a full-on bomb, but it wasn't like especially successful if it wasn't.
Yeah, Slither
John
doesn't
Ostrander.
do. It is John Ostrander.
But-
Slither doesn't do well financially, but it got really good reviews.
But
Yeah.
he did have a track record as a writer also. So, because,
That's true,
like,
too.
he wrote the Scooby-Doo movies and stuff, so, like, is it, or at least the first one, I'm not sure if he wrote two, but,
He wrote two, yeah. He was supposed to direct three, actually. That was supposed to be his directorial debut, and then it got canceled.
yeah. So, I mean, he had more of a proven track record as a writer then, so, like, the harder part is probably director, and that's maybe our answer, right?
Yeah. Well, I know he had an in with Whedon. Like, I know Whedon was like, you should hire this James Gunn guy.
Okay. And Whedon, of course, did get to write his own, too. Like, it's not like
It
there aren't
probably helps
any,
that it
but there
was-
aren't a lot.
it
Like,
was
we talked about this
Guardians.
with the first Suicide Squad. Interestingly, both of these Suicide Squad movies are writer-directors.
That's true.
Yeah. True.
This is how you establish your characters in a Suicide Squad movie. You just have them walk in a line, read their names down, and then kill most of them.
Oh man, it's the Dark Knight.
That's just correct, folks.
I love the roll call too. It's just so comic booky. It's like these are their names. That's all you need.
Yeah, and they also didn't feel the need to put a bunch of stats on the screen.
No, immediately this movie separates itself from the first one. You're like, oh, thank God.
Well, and I think it's really interesting what Austin mentioned when we were talking about Suicide Squad, or on one of these. I can't remember where this actually came up, but you said something, Austin, about James Gunn not having actually watched that movie, and that's fascinating.
Oh, yeah, I'm convinced of that, yeah.
If it's true, because it feels kind of like almost like it's, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like bragging or patting itself on the back going, no, this is how you do that. And I guess it could read that way simply by translating the material better and being a more competent filmmaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember there's a interview in 2017, I think on the press of Guardians 2, where he talked about like having no interest in watching Suicide Squad, and he talks about BVS as well, and I can't remember what he says about it.
Probably that he fell asleep and never finished it. I bet that's what it was.
I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible.
One thing Austin and I are on the same page on is how absolutely devastating it is that we lose Captain Boomerang early on because he's so
He's
good.
the fourth best DC character of all time.
But you know, he gets some funny lines. He gets to throw a boomerang. It's something. But it reminded me of like
All names are
losing.
letters.
That doesn't sound like a lot, but it reminded me of like losing the Warriors 3 in Thor Ragnarok, where two of them have like no dialogue. They just stand there and die. It's like if you're gonna kill a character early, at least give them stuff to do and make that death more shocking.
Mm-hmm.
No,
This is the
biggest
one
sin of
thing
this
where if
movie
this is
the,
DCU, that gets retconned.
The biggest sin of this movie is that the Weasel is written out like 10 minutes in.
He comes
Should've been
back.
the whole movie.
He got his own show, John.
Yeah.
So, John, I don't agree because even forgetting the Peacemaker thing, I don't think you want King Shark and Weasel running around the movie. I think one.
I don't know. I want the Weasel in this whole movie.
I think
He's
one
awesome.
barely talking CG animal at a time.
Exactly.
It would just feel like a double
And
meat
King
kind
Shark
of
is
gag.
better, so I want King Shark.
The same here.
King
Yeah,
Shark
yeah.
is better.
One thing Ryder brought up in the live chat that he thinks this does similar to Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey that's unneeded is it being non-linear again. In the context of this film, I don't think that's a problem at all. Like, it's very easy to follow. It's very simple. Like, this is not a confusing non-linear structure. I think it's just for pacing and introducing characters at the right points.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's so that we don't have to waste like half an hour setting up all these characters.
Mhm.
We can do it at organic points in the film.
Well,
And the
I
title
think
card's help, because we always know where we are.
Yeah. Well, and I like the title card thing because it feels like you can see the issue breaks, which I know I talked about in the rewind. It's also just really cool that this movie opens with like a Bay of Pigs invasion.
Mhm.
And I think I don't know if I talked about that specifically on the rewind, but one of my favorite things that this movie does is it takes Corto Maltese, which is the stand-in for Cuba in Dark Knight Returns,
Yep.
and brings it back and makes it a stand-in for Cuba again, but in a different way, and kind of reflects the U.S.'s history with Cuba.
Yeah.
Yuga Hardy, people say Dwayne Johnson is a mediocre actor, but I think John Cena has it worse. I feel he's more stiff, has less range overall. At least he got in the better movie and a streaming show to boot.
Well, I
I
think
think
the
John
thing
Smith's
that
proved as an actor a lot. I
Yeah,
do like this movie.
I think the thing that helps John Cena in this movie specifically is that it's the role he's always played. Like, I agree. I don't know if John Cena has a ton of range, but Peacemaker is like a satire of John Cena the wrestler, like his persona. So like he comes into this and it's the role he's always played. Like it's exactly made for him.
Gunn knows how to use him. It's like Batista. Like Batista has a little more range, but Gunn just knows how to use him specifically in that role. So he looks like a better actor than maybe he is.
And it's funny because Batista was the one he wanted to be Peacemaker originally, and I don't see that at all.
I
think
see
it's
that
like
at all.
instantly worse.
And I don't think
So-
Dwayne Johnson is a bad actor, but I think he's been in too many different kinds of movies that he doesn't have a lot of range either, and you got to put him in the right roles too.
I think The Rock's problem is less acting skill and more so just he picks awful projects.
So one gripe I do have with this movie that I think is a little confusing, Austin, is Blackguard being the traitor here. I've never fully understood the context of this. Is the idea that he's like an Amanda Waller plant that he's supposed to set this off? Because if not, like, he has a bomb in his head that should... Why would he be a traitor if he knows he has a bomb in his head and they can blow him up? That part of this has always confused me, as much as I've seen this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to imagine that that's probably what it is because she knows that this team is there to die.
Mm-hmm. I just need that to be more clear. I need more context.
Yeah, no,
for
I
that.
think that's fair.
Yeah, that's a really good
This is a
call.
great sequence, though.
I don't know if we talked about that in the rewind, but I don't remember really questioning that. That's a really good thought.
Yeah, because I mean, to be fair, I think that is also just inherent with the premise. Is even in well-established Suicide Squad stuff, you'll always have that one person that's like, oh, she doesn't really put bombs. Like, I'm gonna try to escape or I'm gonna betray them. Like that's just the nature of the material. But what I do like about that scene is we immediately establish, no, this is an actually like rated R movie. It's violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Birds of Prey also was. It's just
I try
kind of,
really hard to forget
it's
that.
just kind of a mess. Well, yeah, Austin didn't even remember that it was R. I mean, that's
I
how
didn't
much we've all
either.
forgotten this movie.
I think we all know what the R stood for.
You can't say that on Geekvolution or YouTube.
You don't know what I meant.
Yes,
you
I
don't
do.
know.
It stands for hope.
Yes, I do.
It stands for hope. Exactly.
When we get off the stream, we're both gonna go count of 3, say the word that he's thinking, and he's gonna
Say the
change it.
line,
He's
Bart.
gonna be like reindeer, and I'm gonna be like, you did that retroactively. You never meant reindeer.
Clearly, I meant that
Retroactively.
that film is R-ful.
So it's really
No.
funny because
No.
there's
Yeah.
there's like this legendary like They Might Be Giants fan who I'm friends with who has been to like over 200 shows, and he's just kind of like known across the fan base, and his username is TDK, and so I thought immediately of him.
You should just send him that clip of them shooting his arms, and then it like pans down and Fillion's on the ground screaming. That's one of my favorite shots.
I remember Austin when this movie came out. People were upset about all the people that got killed in this scene, and I was like, I don't know about you, but I've heard of maybe 3 of these people.
Well, and
Yeah,
this is
I mean,
taken
these are
basically
D-list
straight
characters.
from the Suicide Squad Doom Patrol crossover, which is like a same kind of thing where they drop them
Oh,
on an
yeah,
island and just
I didn't-
they all get picked off.
I didn't know that until you told me about it in the rewind.
Mhm.
But yeah, a couple of these were characters that I had heard of, and then I think we made somebody got me Savant comic book.
I'm not sure. He's, I think, the only one of these characters I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, like Mania,
And,
of course, I'd seen.
Yeah, and Ryder thinks that they're playing Savant's death for comedy, and I don't agree at all. I love that Savant gets a little arc in these 10 minutes, and when he runs away and dies, like I think it's played very straight and seriously. I
I
like
think so too.
I like that with Savant, you get so much character
He
with
might
him in
just
just a
be
few
thinking
minutes.
that
Like you learn
because of,
everything
like-
you need to know about him.
He might just be thinking
Yeah,
that
he just
because of
watched his
the
entire
surprise on
Spidey
his face and
movie.
like the push in, like that is sometimes used for comedy. I don't think that's comedic there. I think that's more like action movie dramatic, like like 90s action movie dramatic.
Oh, and there's
Well, I
a
guess
lot of
the
pushing
most-
shots like that in this.
Yeah,
I guess you
I
can
love
say that
the-
about the bird eating his corpse, but that's not comedic as much as it's cathartic. Like that's just
Mhm.
the payback he gets for that bird he killed at the beginning.
yeah, and just
Yeah, that's
in,
just karma.
in tone with this material, where there's stuff that out of context you would see as comedic because it fits in the world we're building, but the context of it makes it less funny.
Yeah, exactly. I'd also
Uh,
recommend reading some Suicide Squad comics because they are very comedic.
Yeah.
Like, this is a book where people can die, but also Captain Boomerang throws pies at people.
So,
Well, and when people complain that
Captain
Gunn is real samey, where like he likes to kind of tell the same kinds of stories over and over again, and he's always doing movies about teams of outcasts and losers and that kind of thing. He's also picking material that does that in the first place, and
Yeah.
then he's adapting it more or less straight. I mean, he puts his own spin on it. He'll, of course, change some things, but he's very faithful to source material, both with Guardians and with this, and those just both happen to be properties that do that stuff, and like somewhat differently.
Well, down to the point that if you read the introduction of what we think of as the Guardians team, the way they're all put together before they, spin off and become just a superhero team, is that Star-Lord makes a mistake, gets arrested for it, and they're like, "You're gonna do our dirty work for us," and they slap him with a team of other people that they have in prison. Like, it is also Suicide Squad in space in that initial introduction.
When you said
so we had
dirty
a-
work, I just thought of the song that's in the trailer for this movie.
we had a.
Oh yeah, I always
comment
forget that's
earlier
not in the
saying
movie.
that, Savant is from Gail Simone's Birds of Prey run.
Okay,
Oh, okay, cool.
I haven't read enough of
That's
that.
a book I really want to read, but haven't gotten around to.
I recently bought.
I think
some
it's
of
getting
this
new
on it.
trades,
like
though.
a constant on my playlist since this movie came out.
It
This
has
whole soundtrack's
super.
great.
It has super dynamic covers, and I just started buying some of those. But I'm not buying it in order. I'm just getting the really pretty covers. So I've been skipping around. Idris Elba is
It
one
would
of
have been
those
nice to see.
actors that ends up in like everything, and his performance tends to be kind of samey to me. But I think this is my favorite Idris Elba performance. And don't get me wrong, I've certainly liked him in stuff, and I think he's decent in Star Trek Beyond. Like he does good villains.
Oh, he's in that.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in that.
Well, I love how kind of backhanded Gunn was about casting him, where he was like, "Yeah, like I really thought Idris Elba needed like a good role to play."
He saw Dark Tower and he was like, "Oh, we got to give this guy something to do."
Yeah,
Well, he has an interesting career in that in the MCU, it's like he's in some of the highest grossing movies of all time, but as kind of a nothing wasted character. Here he really gets to, act.
And he's in 28 Weeks Later for
I forgot about
A few
that.
minutes.
oh, he's also the. Is he the bad guy? I think he's the bad guy of The Losers.
I've still never seen that.
Oh,
I think he's at least in that.
I'm pretty sure he's in it, yeah.
I was gonna say this is where Robert goes, "No, you're just racist." That was a different person.
No,
Like, no, I swear, I think it was him. I haven't seen it since it came out, but I swear that's the first movie I remember seeing him.
It took me 3 whole minutes here noodling it to remember what John was talking about, or was it Robert? Whoever mentioned MCU, I was like, who the hell was Idris Elba in the MCU? Like, it took me, I finally figured it out, but it took me 3 minutes to think of it.
Yeah, he's that guy from Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
No, that's not even MCU. He's in 3 Thor movies, and I couldn't. No, somebody gets replaced with him, right?
No, he's in
Wait,
3
what?
Thor films and 2 Avengers movies.
Oh, I thought
Yes.
that was a different one, and then he.
No, I think you're
replaced him.
thinking
His
of
son?
one of the Warriors 3 is Zachary Levi in the sequels, but not in the first one. Is
No,
that
I
maybe
thought-
what you're thinking of?
No,
He's Heimdall from the get-go.
Is he? Okay. I thought there were 2 Heimdalls. I don't know why I thought that.
Mhm.
I'm just making
No, I
crap
think it's
up
just-
now. Just keep things. We've
It's
done
like
so
the
many
one
commentaries on some of the
warrior.
same movies. I've got to keep things lively by making crap up now.
Remember, Cap, that was part of your wish. Ghostbusters 2016 no longer exists in our universe, as we all know. But the price that you paid for it is you're only 20% correct.
I'm just remembering crap that didn't even happen. Wonder Woman 1984 has ruined me. It's really unfortunate.
Austin, one of my favorite bits when they're screaming at each other, it's a quote I wish I had more opportunities to drop more. It's when he's giving her crap for stealing the TV
The
watch.
TV
and
watch?
She says, "It does other things."
It does other things.
Like,
I love the
drop that
I
one.
have had exactly one opportunity to yell that at someone, where our buddy Bag on Discord once talked about watching a movie on his watch, and I was like, "Your effing TV watch."
Well, I like how that scene's played for comedy, and then it ends on, a more serious downer note when she talks about how embarrassing it is to have him as her father. And we do that a lot throughout this whole movie, where it kind of takes you off guard with the more dramatic moments, and that stuff really clicks for me.
So, Austin, I wanted to ask you, because you're more familiar with the source material. I need
Yes.
to actually sit down and read it, but is this what he's like in the comics? Because this is a lot of
No.
the Deadshot stuff.
Which is funny because it's also not Deadshot, but
Yeah,
no,
he's a
Bloodsport's
stand-in
completely reinvented
for
in this.
their
The only thing they
Deadshot.
really,
It's very strange.
the only thing that is similar to Bloodsport is that he's got like a handle that he holds and it like teleports guns onto it. And we kind of do a similar thing with like how he's got like the nanotech where he pulls it off and he's got guns. That's kind of the only thing that comes from
I
this.
love this banter where he's like, "I do what you do, just better."
But I think his first appearance is when he shoots Superman with the kryptonite bullet.
Okay.
This also feels like a response to the first Suicide Squad movie in that it's going, here's how setup and payoff actually works.
Yep.
But this is also how Ostrander kind of structures stories, where it's like where we pull the team in and then they go into the briefing room, which is like exactly recreated perfectly when we get there in a minute.
Draven
then
G
it's like that when you go on the mission.
Draven G says there's 2 or 3 blood sports in the comics.
Oh, okay, interesting. I only know the one from Burn Superman.
That's pretty common for different villains.
Yeah,
Including
of course.
Ratcatcher.
Although Ratcatcher
in
2 is
this.
not a real character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
No,
hilarious.
she was made up for this movie.
And again, if you played this movie completely linearly, like we wouldn't even be on the beach yet. I think that just throws off the whole pacing and structure. Like that works as a prologue.
No, it sets up the stakes immediately.
No, I was frustrated by the nonlinear the first time I saw it too, and I think that's part of what got me off on the wrong foot with it. But the more I've seen it, it's just the right way to tell this story. But I almost needed to know where it was going before I trusted it with that.
Well, like Konnor said, this film has like a very different structure. But that's one of the best parts about it. Like it's so well structured.
Also, unlike the other one, we're 20 minutes in and we basically have all our main characters already.
Yeah, and after
It takes 50
after
minutes.
a bait and switch where it introduces a bunch, and in a fun way where you're already starting to get to know them, and then gets rid of them, and then gives us these characters. Like, how many of these DCEU movies, Austin? And actually, like all of us have been here for some of these. Have we gotten to 20 minutes and gone, oh my god, we've gotten nothing done in 20? Like, how are we 20 minutes in? It feels like we should be at the 5-minute point. And I'm at 20 minutes
That's
into
why I
this
said
movie
2
going.
hours into the Snyder Cut.
I'm at 20 minutes into this movie going, how did we get this much done already? And like, yes, we're still in like it still feels like the beginning of the movie. Certainly, it's still kind of setup territory, but we've established a lot of characters, and we've had a pretty lengthy and super entertaining opening credit scene, which has to happen on that beach. Like, that's just such a cool way to do that. That if you went linear, you couldn't have that, or you would have to axe the introductions to these characters entirely, and all of this exposition is kind of necessary, both for the backstory for Bloodsport, and just for what the hell we're doing with Jotunheim and Corto Maltese.
So earlier there we had Calendar Man, and it took me like 2 viewings of this movie before I realized it was Calendar Man.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I quote Calendar Man in this movie a lot. I just like the idea that Calendar Man is making fun of Polka Dot Man for having a stupid gimmick.
So I know
Hey, it's the 12th Doctor.
I know how Austin's going to respond to this. Yes, and kind of my favorite Doctor. I know how Austin's going to respond to this, but I'm curious with everybody else here. Does anybody else, and people in the comments too, feel it at all that it's indulgent of Gunn, since he already made a movie in the DCU, but he's rebooting, to kind of only keep his stuff and find a way to fit all that in? Or do you think that's just his prerogative, or do you think that these characters are just like fun and interesting enough that they should be allowed to kind of stick around?
I think it helps that this movie is kind of soft rebooty in the first place. Like, yeah, it was kind of sold as a sequel, and like at the time it could be, but it's so much its own thing that helps a lot.
It works both ways.
Well, I think a big part of it too was just he'd already written Creature Commandos and at least part of Peacemaker season 2, and he was like, "We need content like right away." So like, I think a lot of it comes down to that as well.
Oh, so
Because
you
I
don't
guess
even-
we'll also have that with Blue Beetle, because he's getting that animated series, and it's still.
Oh,
gonna
and I
be that
forgot
actor.
it's in that same. So you don't think it's ego at all?
I mean, I think it's easy to say that. I do feel like, I mean, it's what he says, and it's taken him at his word. Like, I'm sure there is a bit of ego in that he probably does go, I don't want to have to, like, redo things that I've already done. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I can buy that he got into this, and it's like, we're going to have, like, a 2-year drought of content, but I already have this stuff written, why not just make it?
I personally
Sorry, go ahead,
kind of
John.
wish they had just entirely rebooted, including his stuff. Just because if you're gonna reboot, just reboot. Don't do it halfway. But at least he's keeping the stuff that people generally like versus what was more.
This stuff's already so
divided.
disconnected, too.
The big wild card for me that I don't even know if he's sure about yet is Margot as Harley. if she comes back or not, because then that, if you recast her and that's like a complete reinvention, then that really throws out the canon of this movie.
Yeah,
makes it a lot.
Now you're really picking and choosing what actually counts and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm. But if she comes back,
but I kind of don't want her to come back. Although if we do the right thing with it, I mean, like I do like her ostensibly in the role. Like I like her in this. Like I think she could do a traditional version in the old costume. It would be cool to get to see her do that, I guess.
Yeah. But I also should say I also just need to see the upcoming stuff like Superman and that superhero movie. If that's good, then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like I don't care.
Well, and he establishes.
Well, I think these characters are all small enough that it's like not too far away. And somebody mentioned it in the chat, but like it's something I've always thought too, where it's like it's not that far from just keeping Judi Dench when we rebooted Bond. Like
exactly, yeah.
We have done that when rebooting things. It's not like it's that crazy.
And even if Harley's recast, like as long as her role in this movie still canon, I think that's easier to roll with.
It feels a little bit more complicated than that when you're talking about a whole shared universe, but I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can just see why it's weirder for people and harder for people to decide if they can accept it. But the other thing is he establishes such a lived-in DC universe with this that like his approach to the universe is the same now as it was when he made this movie. So like as much as I also wanted a straight up complete reboot where we forgot anything at all that happened in this, like with John, and probably just to not confuse people, you've got the same guy running all of it that made this movie, and he just went, here's a like fully lived in, like a lot of continuity has happened DC universe with all the big comic book ideas. Once he full on does a different thing, it's still gonna kind of feel like this. Just because he's the one doing it, and he's got that, he's not going to change his attitude about it just to get away from this, because that is the correct thing to do with a shared DC universe.
And when you're talking about the big stuff, for the mainstream public that are watching, Superman, Supergirl, Brave and the Bold, whatever. I mean, it's a little more complicated if Margot Robbie stays, but are they going to be confused? The Peacemaker is the same. He has his own little show on the side. Like it's not like he's going to be in all of these movies.
No, most of them won't have even watched this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's also all characters that are small enough that does it really matter at the end of the day? Like, it's not going to affect the overall DCU that heavily.
I also like that Gunn's approach is like he does not care if he's used an actor before in another role. Like he'll recast them as something else. And he even does that in the Guardians movies. So when people get hung up on like canon and how canon is this movie, I think that's partially what he's talking about. Like, yeah, Nathan Fillion played TDK and now he's playing Guy Gardner. Who cares? That's such a minor role in this movie. It's like
they're smaller characters.
Well, and to
this
point,
is especially a lot smaller.
And to your point, okay, great, said he's keeping Momoa, yes, but it's not as Aquaman. He's playing a different character.
Mm-hmm. The character should have been
more of that.
Yeah, well, and also, Austin and I have talked a lot about like hit and miss casting with the DCEU. There have been a lot of course, really good actors that even if they weren't right for the parts that they were put in, or like in the case of Momoa, or they didn't get the best material to work with, if they've got a good relationship with Warner Brothers, especially, like you totally get why you would want to just repurpose them for something else.
Also, for people that say I just don't like Gal Gadot, she's a thick accent. Evidence one, that is not true. Danielle, I think her name's Daniela
Melchior.
Yeah, has a very thick accent, and she's great. She's one of the best actors in this movie, I think.
No, I have hypothesized that it isn't that she has a thick accent. It's that you don't like the Israeli accent for some reason.
Oh, okay. So I have to find somebody else with a really thick Israeli accent.
Yeah, it's not about accents. It's about that accent. I'm just kidding.
I like King Shark's accent.
I do too.
I think the deal is you think she's a terrible.
Hungry.
I think the deal is you think she's a terrible actress and she has an accent that is easy to caricature, and you do a really terrible version of it. So when you do her
Making
accent,
her sound worse is also part of what's funny about it to me.
No,
To
of
make fun
course.
of how awful of an actress she is.
but I'm saying that all of that creates a recipe that makes it look like you just don't like her accent, and that's why you don't like her.
I mean, I complain a ton about her physical acting too.
Gunn is
and-
great at casting like across the board though. Like this movie's just
And to
perfectly
your
cast.
point,
Yeah.
Austin, earlier, where you saying this is kind of Peacemaker is kind of like a satire of John Cena's wrestling character. It's interesting watching this now that he's back in wrestling as a bad guy, because I could see similarities in the performance.
Yeah, and Peacemaker's the one who turns heel in this
Yeah.
movie.
Nicholas Bodo, Ratcatcher is adorable.
Peacemaker is the reverse.
Yes, I love her, and the movie doesn't work without her. And like her relationship with Bloodsport is kind of the heart and the soul of the movie to me.
Mhm.
Well,
John Kelling just said he lived in Israel for a couple years. Their accent is a little grating.
Well, and even though
This is an
Austin,
odd conversation to be having right now with what's happening in the world. But anyway,
Yeah, we're
Oh.
watching the Suicide Squad.
But Austin, you know, even though this movie does cherry pick some plot points and stuff from like the Ostrander run, I like
Yeah.
that for most of Gunn's approach to this, it's like he's just doing his own run or his like next trade on where he's using characters who haven't even been on the squad in the comics. Like I don't think Polka Dot Man was, but characters
No.
who absolutely could have been. You know, it's like
Mhm.
he's approaching it like he's jumping on the run, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is kind of what I look to, with something like Aquaman, where like it feels like they took an entire
There's not
run
a
and
lot I can do
condensed
about
it
it
into
right
a movie. Where I feel like this is an adaptation of an entire run, and that they picked things from every single part of it, and then made something that's very in line with it. And like we do the whole Jotunheim thing, like that is an important part of that run. But it's not exactly that. Like you said, there's a couple characters that aren't in that. Some of them obviously are from New 52, but then Starro obviously isn't there.
I love
This
this
guy
action
did
bit.
That guy did not deserve to die that way.
Yes, he did.
Whoa! I don't think you can say that.
Why? King Shark was hungry. That's more important.
That's true.
Uh,
What I love about this action scene, where again, this movie isn't going for full grounded realism. The people they're killing here, they function like video game NPCs. Like they're so unaware of their surroundings, and you can sneak up on them very easily. And like the way we just like side scroll through this sequence is really funny.
And a plus
and
for
I
them
think
being
one of
bad
the-
guys.
I think one of the benefits of having somebody like Cena doing a role like Peacemaker is that he's used to doing his own stunts, basically. So like, he probably has is able to make it look better.
When he chops up the guy sleeping, it's just the best.
Yeah, he's like,
He starts at
it's
his
so
feet,
cartoony.
works his way up.
I think it's interesting that the movie gets away with two comedic bait and switches like this within basically the first half hour, where the opening is you think this is going to be the cast, and then we kill most of them, and then here it's we're taking all these guys out there a threat. Oh, these were actually not the people we were supposed to kill, and I don't know if it does that anywhere else in the movie, but it does two of them in half an hour.
I love how like insane that gun is. That looks like
I
something
can't-
out of RoboCop.
I guess you could say the other bait and switch is just what their actual mission is, which is just classic Suicide Squad.
Yeah, even
Government
the first
cover-up
movie kind of
stuff.
does that.
I think what works with this scene is, it is a bait and switch, but what really works about the scene is just these two fighting with
Yeah.
each other.
Well, it's establishing their rivalry, and it's also important for the plot,
Yeah.
you can't cut this out. And then with the lady here, it's like she should probably be more angry at them, if this was more realistic, but also she's desperate. Like, what other option does she have? It's
And we have the thing that the last movie did not have, which is Rick Flag is actually the good person.
yes.
That is frustrated that these are the people he's stuck with.
I thought you were gonna say.
You know, they included Rick Flag's character.
Yeah, that he's not just like a stand-in for Amanda Waller.
But sorry, John, what were you saying?
I thought you were gonna say it has something the last movie did in an actual Suicide Squad.
That's true too.
That's true.
Jason, when you first saw this, did the violence and vulgarity like jump out and really bother you at any point?
I actually don't remember. I don't think it did. I mean,
Because I'm a wonderful father and you're good and desensitized at this point. But you saw this like a couple of years ago, I think.
yeah. I think I did, think that a couple things were like, oh, that's crazy, but also like, I don't know, the way that they do it, it doesn't feel as real as like something else. I don't really
Penguin
know.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you've seen other things.
Yeah.
With more
This is a lot
realistic
more
violence.
cartoony.
Yeah, it's just not as
very
realistic.
comic booky.
One of my favorite Polka Dot Man jokes is when he says, "Yeah, I don't like killing, but if I imagine they're my mom, it gets easier."
What happened to my men? I turned them into my mother and killed them.
It's so good. I love Polka Dot Man. David Dastmalchian. He's just
He's
good
such
at everything
he's
he's
a
in.
good actor. Yeah, I feel like he's finally getting the love he deserves. Where he's getting a lot more roles and bigger roles.
Like Late Night with the Devil.
That movie
Yeah,
was
I guess I
so
shouldn't say a lot more roles because he's always in like 8 billion movies.
He's starting to get more. I don't want to say leading roles, but like. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess leading.
More
roles
than just like
are-
bit parts. Yeah.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah, the
getting
big
more than
idea-
just guy in the alley that Batman intimidates.
The big idea that I latched onto when we did the rewind was characters who were kind of desperate to be heroes and didn't know how to do that, and I really like that in contrast to Guardians, and also the idea of like Guardians is a group of outcasts that become a family, and this is a lot more about friendship than family. So again, there are obvious similarities, but he's not telling the exact same story again.
Look, it's Pinhead.
Who you
The
call him
rest of the sucks
Pinhead?
to show you. I was so excited when it was confirmed or leaked that Starro was going to be the main villain of this movie. I love Starro, and that was really exciting.
Yeah, I had that too.
I also like Starro.
I also
Yeah,
think
I wasn't-
the villain could have been the Rainbow Monster from that like 50s Batman issue, because when he put out that list of characters that almost made it into this, there's like a couple where it's like, okay, you can kind of see who they would be replacing, and with that one, I'm like, that has to be like the Starro, right?
Mhm.
Austin,
That would've been
if
funny, but
Gunn
Starro's
ever
great.
made a Batman movie or a movie with Batman in it, like if he did like a Batman and the Outsiders or something like that, I would want to see him specifically do Crazy Quilt.
Sure.
I think Gunn could do a killer Crazy Quilt.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's because he's done a lot of criminals just in the background of scenes in prisons in his DC work. I feel like Crazy Quilt might have shown up at some point, but I could be wrong. I'd be thinking of something else. There's a ton.
He is an episode of Brave and Bold.
That's true.
Cool.
I like how creepy and screwed up the Thinker is.
I agree.
Yeah.
And he
That's
could have
great.
been the villain for the whole piece. And I like that he's that messed up and he's still not going to be the scariest thing here. And then the actual scariest thing here we're going to really sympathize with toward the end. So then it kind of works its way back around and he is worse than that. But what this creature can do is scarier than him. It's just, its motivations are kind of understandable.
Yeah, well, I think I talked about this in the rewind too, but I've always loved how Amanda Waller really is the main villain of this movie,
Yeah.
and that it's basically two things that she helped put together, coming at odds, or at least not her specifically, but she is like the representation of the U.S. government.
Obsidian Library Archives. I heard one of James Gunn's favorite comics is Red Hood and the Outlaws. Can you imagine a James Gunn written and directed Jason Todd-led movie? I mean, I kind of can.
I think he would be perfect for an Outlaws movie.
I would immediately be a lot more interested in that material if Gunn was the one making it, just because he's a good storyteller, and I really don't like Jason Todd as Red Hood. So if anybody was going to win me over on that, it'd be him. Yeah, that does sound like a TV show.
This side tangent with Harley's probably a lot of people's least favorite part of the movie. I think it's fine. It's like 10 minutes. It's not even that big a part.
Oh, I remember when I first watched it. I mean, this is probably not the case now. I remember when I first watched it, it was like my favorite part in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
There was some of my favorite stuff.
Yeah, I still don't love modern Harley, but I really like how this captures like a tie-in issue feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's like you have the overall story, and then this is just like a little tie-in issue.
Yeah, I like that we get to see more of the Corto Maltese. We get some exposition here with the bad guy.
I was going to say, story-wise,
Jotunheim.
there's still really good connective tissue here.
Mhm.
And, like, you kind of need her to give the like, evil world leader some motivation and propel things forward.
Mhm. Yeah, and this whole sequence is worth it just for her monologue at the end.
Yeah.
And I think it's like one of the first things James Gunn writes when he's writing this movie. It's so dark and messed up. It's great.
Oh no, I forgot she had a Daddy's Little Monster tattoo right here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like she used to have more tattoos, so I don't know if she's, like...
She did.
I don't know if the
She
character
did,
is
yeah.
wearing makeup now over them, or if that's
They
the
got
main
soft
way...
rebooted out of existence.
Or if that's the main way that we've soft rebooted, is just we're supposed to imagine she always had these tattoos. Because I was going to say, this actually
I feel like
does
you just got
work
rid of some.
as a full-on sequel to the last movie. I don't think there's anything that really contradicts.
I also view it the way we, again, though, just approach how different artists tackle different runs. Like, characters never, even when we're in continuity, characters aren't always drawn the same way
That's
in
a great
comics. It's
point.
something you just adjust to.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah,
it's
I
too
mean,
bad that
it's-
something like this didn't happen earlier, because we could have established kind of a house style, or not even a house style. We'd have established that we can play fast and loose with the continuity in that way, and you train your audience to be okay with like minor tweaks and changes like that,
Mhm.
especially visually.
Yeah,
And I
mean,
bet the
it is
DCU will
definitely-
do that.
it is definitely a sequel, but it benefits from the fact that the only main character that transfers over is Harley. So you can just kind of do whatever. Sorry, Harley and Rick Flag.
Flag.
And again, a writer says he thinks that Harley shooting the guy at the end is played as a joke, and I don't think it is at all. It's a really dark, kind of shocking.
She's got a
moment.
very emotional speech after too. It's also the closest we ever really got to her Harley like actually rejecting the Joker and like him actually being there.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he plays it too, it's not like he's just shot and killed. Like the way he's playing it, it's like a man's freaking dying, and it's horrifying and violent.
No, it's very much, a woman who's made wrong choices, seeing herself making the same choices, and
She's on the verge of
Going
tears
through-
in her speech.
going the other way. It's Harley Quinn, so going the other way still means murder of some sort.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
how
she
in-
does the responsible thing and murders him.
Exactly. Like, she lives in her own little world, and in her mind, like, that was the moral choice.
Yeah, 'cause she's still a morally broken character.
Well, and I think we kind of intentionally because I think Gunn is sort of stuck with this character and goes, how is she even gonna fit with what I'm wanting to do with this movie? And I think the smart choice he makes is going, well, I'm gonna have her be the one true psychopath, and she's indicative of like what you might expect the rest of the Suicide Squad to be, and what arguably some of the characters we killed off at the start maybe were. A lot of these are like broken characters with unfortunate tragic backstories, and some of them are victims. In her mind, she and of course, like, she's a victim of the Joker, but she's like completely lost her mind and has like no her humanity is real screwed up now. And it's been a while since I've seen this, but I think arguably every other character still has more than a shred of humanity left. Like they all can kind of come back from mistakes they've made in their past. She can't. There's no coming back for her.
Yeah. I think you could argue Peacemaker's too far gone by the end of this movie, but then that's what that show
I guess that's
explores.
Fair. He'd be the other one, I guess.
His show is like if he got to be the other characters on this adventure, down to some form of mind-controlling alien creature that he has to fight.
No, you're right, because he also has that relative morality thing, where everything he does makes perfect sense to him, and he doesn't see that contradiction at all in creating peace by being the worst, most violent thing there is.
That's why
he's got to kill people for peace.
He could just excuse everything with necessary evil. I'm sorry, what's that, John?
That's what I like about that show, is it explores that, and then you meet like his dad, and you're like, oh, I see how you got here.
Right.
Well, and that's one of the best parts of the show is he gets to speak to the villains at the end, and they're like, we think you'll understand. We're trying to make the world better. We're killing everybody on our way for that, and it's exactly his ideology.
And in this movie, that's why Rick Flag's death is so tragic but earned. It's when Peacemaker says early on, I love peace no matter how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it. And it's played as a joke, but then when he's actually trying to kill somebody you like and care about, then it's scary. There's a great contrast there from how you see him at the start of this film to the end when he's fighting Flag, where it's like, oh no, now a character I actually like is in his way, and it's hard to watch.
When he gets even scarier than when he goes after Ratcatch.
This is a great,
just like a little church mouse.
And I like what sets her off is him talking about like killing kids. But she's not really that much better because she's murdering someone too.
Yeah.
She killed Robin, apparently, I guess, if this counts.
That's
Gunn,
true.
If Gunn actually knows that's the idea in Suicide Squad, I'll be surprised.
Well, and here's the thing. It also reads completely selfish to me. Like, I don't know how much of this even in her head is altruistic, because she says, look out for red flags, and killing kids is a red flag. Meaning, the last, like psychotic murderous boyfriend I had, I ultimately couldn't get along with because of who he was. And maybe it's not even... he does all these horrible things and I can't be with a person that does that. Maybe it's just, well, the Joker did all these bad things and I couldn't stay with him. Like, that relationship didn't work out. So, like, those red flags kind of lead up to, oh, I probably am, like he's probably going to turn on me or something if he does these things. I don't know how much of it's actually about killing kids.
I think she should look out for Rick Flags.
And that's where you really see her as a true sociopath, is when she says,
Yeah.
you look a lot better like this, just, dead, and devoid of life and personality. This is better.
All those evil thoughts emptied from your head.
Well, it's really
And
kind of
then-
a commentary on, like, present day narcissism, right? Like, it's people who can justify anything they do by imagining themselves as the protagonist of their own stories.
And here we have one of the villains from Quantum of Solace, basically playing.
Yes, and when I rewatched that, I was like, oh my god, he's the same character even. Like down to the point that he talks about how now he's running a country because of a military coup. He is the same character.
I've seen that movie like 4 times. I remember nothing about it.
This is the best title card in the movie because it's entirely practical. Do you know that?
That is not. That's not true, though.
Bringing the head of the Suicide Squad. It looks so cool. You think he was joking?
Hmm?
Oh,
No, the best.
sorry.
The best one is Starro the Conqueror versus
That is a good one.
the Suicide Squad. But that one
This
is
one's
good.
cool because it's practical.
Oh,
and like
Austin,
it's really
he
face
thought
falling
you were
into it.
disputing
So
that it's
good.
practical. I'm like, I mean, it is.
Well, when Austin said that's not true, I just misheard him.
Yeah, no, I thought
Oh.
I thought the same thing you did. I thought he was disputing you on whether it was practical.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
I just meant that's not true, and that the Starro one is the best title card. But
That is a great
that's
one.
a good one too.
Braden Atkinson says,
I
I
mean,
want a Gotham
all
City
of them are pretty
Sirens.
good.
I do too, but I'm actually really glad that, because it was almost made during DCEU, and I'm really glad it wasn't, because now we have a chance at it.
Same.
At a better one. I mean, sure, it depends
Yeah.
on who made it, but like,
Actual,
given that we only got one really solid movie with this, I wouldn't have held my breath on that. That's one of like 4 Harley Quinn and/or Joker movies that was announced and never ended up
I
happening.
remember that. Those were dark times.
You know what's also really funny now is Rick Flag's shirt has the little rabbit character that they created because it was supposed to be Wile E. Coyote, and Gunn was like, "No, I'm working on a Wile E. Coyote movie, and I don't want it to feel like advertising." We're now 4 years away, and it's finally coming out next year. So we're so far removed from this movie that if he did it, you would never think twice.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
So there was a
I didn't expect a Styx movie in a gun film, or it's a Styx song in a gun film. Good.
yeah.
This is Kansas.
I'm sorry, this is Kansas. I'm just off my game today.
So there was
That's all good.
There's a point.
I was
like,
listening to Styx earlier, and I just had that in my brain. But yes,
I mean, it was like the first few notes too. Like,
Yeah, that is embarrassing though. I mean, I grew up with both those
How
bands real
long?
hard. So.
Do-do-do-do-do.
you must be totally embarrassed.
Yeah, now I feel foolish.
So there was a point like 8 months ago to like a year ago where my entire YouTube Shorts feed was just the making of King Shark. And I'm not even kidding. There was nothing else about like the behind the scenes of anything else with that movie. It was literally just King Shark and how we made King Shark. And it was like the same thing over and over again, but just like different interviews and things.
That's funny.
Nom nom.
And so I'm pretty sure I know how that CG was made.
Braden Atkinson said the price for 84. Yeah, it's still plaguing me, Austin. I'm sitting here thinking
King-
Point of No Return is a Styx song. I have
like-
lost my mind.
You're like, King Shark is a lion.
I agree. Okay, great. Milton is the best character.
Of course.
They wouldn't have made it without him.
When we get to the end of this, I'm going to have no friends.
See,
Fake mustache.
It's so insane that's Stallone.
it's great.
I love that he did it.
I know, I love it so much. I love that part where he answers in Spanish. They're like, "Oh, look, he's learning Spanish. That's so cute." No, and when because they announced he was going to be in this movie, but we didn't know who yet, and we knew that Steve Agee was doing the mocap for him, so a lot of people thought he would do the voice. He's the guy who plays Economos, the guy in the chair that works for Waller.
Oh.
Then he's also one of the Ravagers in Guardians 2. But I was like really, really hoping that Stallone would be King Shark. That is such perfect casting.
I also think
Well,
it's...
a lot of people.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of people thought that Taika Waititi was going to be either King Shark or Starro, and he ended up being
Oh, that's
neither.
right. Thank God. And he's like really good in this movie.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Yeah.
He should.
He
stick
also
to
doesn't tell a
acting, that
single
guy.
joke.
That's why he's so good in this movie.
I think
this
it's
is
neat that Stallone is willing to do supporting and bit roles at this point in his career. I mean, maybe he's just doing favors for Gunn because he likes Gunn, but like I just think it's cool that he does that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he's really good in this and in Guardians too.
Yep. There was a point earlier in his career where he seemed a lot more like a typical kind of egomaniac actor, and he got real humble at some point and lost all of that. And he's just,
Well, you can track all of that through the Rocky sequels.
Yes.
Like, they are a
Yep.
perfect representation of where he is in life.
but he's just the exact opposite of that at this point in his career. Like there's a lot of real wisdom with Stallone.
Braden Atkinson asks, Austin, what would be your dream Suicide Squad lineup for a movie?
Okay. Rick Flag, I would say, is probably optional. Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, Bronze Tiger, King Shark. Who would I put in after that? I guess at this point, like, maybe Peacemaker, that'd be fun. And then throw Polka Dot Man in there, 'cause why not?
Bronze Tiger and Killer Frost would be high for me just because they aren't in either of these movies. So
Yeah, and Bronze Tiger is a really important part of this team that we've kind of lost at this point. It's kind of that thing I have with Guardians where, like, I think Adam Warlock is really important to that team, and then he's not in that movie, so he just isn't anymore.
I love the way we handle this flashback.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
it's really cool. It's really inventive.
Yeah.
Well, what sucks
Draven wants to
is
know, how could you guys forget Stallone was in the cinematic masterpiece Spy Kids 3D? I've never
That's
forgotten.
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
Bronze Tiger was kind of perfectly cast in Arrow, and it's too bad. And like he's maybe too old now, but it's too bad that Michael Jai White didn't get to play him in like a big screen Suicide Squad movie, because he was really good casting.
He's also just evil in that show.
Yeah.
Draven G, sorry, yeah.
It wasn't a good
I was like
characterization.
answering it just off the top of my head, so I wasn't thinking about it too hard. But yes, Vixen and Nightshade would be on it too. Braden Atkinson. Bronze Tiger's the leader for a while.
Who does machines?
King Shark.
No, I don't think it was a question. I think he's saying Bronze Tiger does machines.
Oh, I thought you said who does machines.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah, like Bronze Tiger,
Oh, okay, yeah.
who does machines, right?
Austin heard you.
Isn't that what you're saying?
Well, Austin said that Bronze Tiger leads, so I asked who does machines.
Oh, now I get it. Okay.
King Shark. He's
Okay.
like, so smart, me. And he sits there typing on his little computer. And it would have Oracle. 'Cause
I should just leave.
Oracle
I'm
is great.
contributing nothing to my own show tonight.
I really love that bit when you see King Shark looking at the window and he's looking at the people together.
He
It's
looks
just,
so
again,
good.
really
Too,
set
or
up.
like right up on his face. And
You learn so much about these characters just with looks and
It
little
really
choices
gives
like
me
that.
hope that we'll get some more of the out there comic book characters in this universe.
Mhm.
That's
we
the
definitely
place
Gunn's
where-
afraid to put CGI creatures.
That's the
on
scene
screen
where
and
Bloodshot really
not
wins
make
me
them
over,
good.
and I'm really kind of sucked into his arc, and I care about him the rest of the movie. Because I know Bloodshot is like nobody's favorite character in this movie, but he's kind of mine, just because I'm so surprised by how much I care about him by that point. The moment
Bloodsport.
where Ratcatcher has really gotten under his skin, and he like puts his hand over his mouth like that right at the end of the scene, like trying not to show how much he's kind of melting in front. God, I love that.
He's
Also-
probably my second or third favorite character on the team.
he's great.
also important, Lloyd Kaufman just had his cameo. Him and Palm Clemente.
We have to bring that up every time. It's very important.
Yeah, Because I love that Gunn slaps Lloyd Kaufman into these movies. If Lloyd Kaufman is in a Superman movie, we are immediately this timeline of all time.
Did I say Deadshot or something? Dan's Den says Bloodsport, Cap. Did I say it wrong?
I thought you said Bloodshot.
You said Bloodshot, which is that
That's a
Vin
totally.
Diesel
That's even a
movie.
different thing. Connor and I reviewed that. That's terrible.
I've also seen that. That movie is terrible.
Blood something. I don't know. You all know what I'm talking about. I'll see myself out. Tobin Belpons is back. $1.99 super chat. Austin, he's here to tell us once again what we're supposed to think of the film, and he says this movie doesn't suck at all.
That's correct. You
That
are
was
God
kind
amongst
of
insects,
predictable.
Tobin Belpons.
I enjoyed his response last night, where it was just question marks. Like he couldn't even decide where he landed. In the Snyder Cut, he was like, "This movie doesn't totally suck?" Question mark? Question mark? That was great. The moms are so disturbing. Like if
This
I
is
were
the most
Polka Dot
disturbing
Man,
joke
I
in
would
the
have
movie.
committed suicide years ago. I couldn't live like that. No chance. I would have polka dotted myself to hell.
That's also a line that you can throw out a lot. The that's your mom.
Oh, that's true.
I did that the other day on one of John's streams. Someone in the chat asked if something was like whatever, and I was like, "No, it's your mom." When this whole sequence too is like 20 minutes or 15 minutes longer or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember all
With
the
all
deleted
the
scenes
deleted
now.
scenes.
I remember this being one of those movies where like half of them I really wanted to be put back in, and half of them weren't really necessary, and I got why they were cut. But I don't remember them at all anymore.
Yeah, there's a really good scene where the Thinker's trying to get Polka Dot Man to turn on the rest of the team
That's the big
and
one.
join him.
Yep.
It's really good. It just slows down
I
the
think there
pacing
were
a
two or
lot.
three things.
The issue is it's part of a big
down.
sequence, so like you can't have it just on its own, but it like adds a lot to the movie, and it's good stuff, but like it doesn't really need to be there. But his scene is really good in it. That and there's the beginning bit with Amanda Waller and Flag.
No, I'm remembering
where he
this
makes a
now
comment.
because we see something happen to him where he gets his ear messed up, and now he's just got a bandage on it for no reason, and so that's a weird continuity thing.
Mm-hmm. But what Asta was saying, there's another bit going on with King Shark where he leaves the van and he like follows these kids, and it's a misdirection because you think, oh God, is he gonna eat them? Like, what's
Yes.
gonna happen? And then he's just playing
That's right.
with them, like with toys. And it's a nice bit, but like those two things are interlocked and converge.
Because it's like a little horror sequence where you're following Ratcatcher looking, and it's like, uh oh, like what am I gonna find? So it's like a longer sequence. So I get why they cut it, but that Polka Dot Man bit is really good in it.
Yeah.
It's also really weird if Gunn didn't see the first movie that his Bloodsport feels like Deadshot 2.0, but he didn't actually see their Deadshot. So, like, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I always assumed that Idris Elba was just gonna be like Deadshot recast, but then WB or whoever said, no, we want to leave the door open for Will Smith. But that's not really what happened. Gunn just wanted Idris in the main role, and then looked for a character
Yeah.
to fit him, and then
Yeah.
Bloodsport was just the one he landed on.
Now I just
Well, it
want
was almost Deathstroke at one point. Like there's concept art that goes up to like behind the scenes stuff for this movie where you can see it in the background.
Really?
I do kind of
Where it's that exact shot where we have the Suicide Squad title and it's all of the characters except instead of Bloodsport, it's Deathstroke.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been really cool. Like I like the character that we
Bloodsport.
got, but
I don't know how I feel
Yeah,
about it.
there's a couple stuff like that. Like there's
Deathstroke-
concept art of Peacemaker's jetpack, which I assume gets cut because that automatically puts him a step above Bloodsport.
Is
So, like,
Deathstroke ever
you
on the
remove
Suicide
that.
Squad? Like, that seems like an odd choice to me.
I think he is
Yeah.
in the New 52.
Oh, okay. That would make sense then.
Now I just want King Shark to go, I ain't asking, bruh.
This is my home. Y'all just tourists. Get Stallone to say that.
Get Stallone to go, I'm beautiful.
Beautiful.
I did something.
Austin, can we read some of these comments real quick?
Absolutely.
Get some of these Patreon comments knocked out. Oh, I have quite a few for this one.
Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many do you have?
I have 4, so...
I'll start then. Daniel Davis,
Yeah.
favorite scene? Well, there's a lot, but I've been infrequently listening to Louis Prima's Just a Gigolo by coincidence lately, so Harley Quinn's Escape is definitely on my mind. What I'd change, have this be DC's first Suicide Squad movie instead. It would probably have done way better at the box office. I don't know if that's true, because that movie did actually perform really well. I think it would have been critically liked. I'll say it like this. They might have done the same, but it wouldn't have had... It would have been more consistent. Like, it wouldn't have had the drop-off it did second weekend. And
He
critics
probably would have
liked it.
opened lower just for being R, I would guess.
Yeah. Most surprising
But,
thing... Oh, I'm sorry, Austin, go ahead.
No, that's basically all I had to say.
Oh, okay. Most surprising thing, that it was not only good, but great. Okay, and then the rest of this is for Black Adam, I think. This is kind of weird the way he set this up. Go ahead and read one for us, Austin.
Captain Coon, he says, favorite scene / moment, seeing Rick Flag in the yellow t-shirt. Yes. It's beautiful. Things I would change. I kind of want to see what the versions of this look like when Will Smith was supposed to come back, and the one where Deathstroke is on the team.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you guys just brought that up.
Yeah, I've always wondered what Deathstroke would have looked like. There's a bunch of villains. Like, he's come out and gave like a whole list. Like, Man-Bat and like Mr. Freeze were contemplated at one point. Like, there's like a whole bunch of villains that he was thinking about with this movie. I'm sure most of them didn't make it into a draft. It was just like, I wrote down a list of characters that could possibly be in this movie, and then slowly weeded them out.
I would bet you money
I'd also
Vigilante
be
was
really
on that
curious to see
list.
what Will Smith's
And then
gonna
he
shot.
ends up...
What's that, sorry?
I would bet money Vigilante's on that list. And then...
I don't think he was.
Oh, wow. Because I would have thought maybe that was one he contemplated, and then he ends up saving and doing in Peacemaker.
No, I think just because he and Peacemaker like are kind of connected to a degree in the comics, that's probably where that comes from. And then thing that surprised me is both Rick Flag and Captain Boomerang dying, and that I was actually sad about it since I don't care about them in the first film. Yeah, somebody said earlier that they're more sad about Rick Flag dying in this than Superman, and not only do I have that, but I hate Rick Flag in the first film.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he is one of like my top 4 characters in this movie is madness.
Well, that's maybe the most
Because
soft thing about it, is that you feel like you're looking at a completely different character.
Well, and I feel bad for Kinnaman now, because before this I really only knew him for the first movie and the RoboCop remake. So I'm like, oh, this guy kind of sucks. And then this movie comes out and I'm like, oh, no, I've just only seen him in bad movies.
Exactly. Yeah, he's one of those like TV actors that's really popular, and then we start putting him in movies, and they're just all misses or bad projects.
Yeah, just didn't give him the right kind of roles. Just didn't pick the best scripts.
Oh, I like Jai Courtney.
When he's a replacement from Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy was in the initial cast list for the first movie.
Oh, you would love that.
Yeah, thank God he got replaced.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what this movie looks like with Will Smith's Deadshot in it, just because I think James Gunn could have given him something really cool to do.
It'd be funny if he was just straight up comic, like suicidal, crazy Deadshot with Will Smith.
Because like I like Will Smith as an actor a lot. It's just lately he's just picked all the wrong projects, I think.
Well, the other day he came out and said, wow, what movie was it? I think Inception was like a movie he was offered leading role for, and he was like, the script makes no sense. And didn't pick it.
Have you ever seen that one where he talks
That makes
about
sense. He turned on The Matrix, too.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like there's a few roles like that. Apparently, he's just not a cerebral guy.
He's like,
Well,
I
he
don't
was
want
in
it to be
iRobot.
any more complicated than Men in Black.
True,
okay?
true.
That's his speed.
No, Speed was Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
They should have got in for Speed too.
Where is my eject button? Austin, I'll go ahead and read another one. Victor,
Yeah.
favorite scene is the final action sequence. How often do I get to say that about a comic book movie? Thing I would change, I don't need the weasel tag at the end. Just let me linger on the emotion of the final beat with Bloodshot and Sebastian. And biggest surprise that they made a DCEU film that I can say is great from beginning to end without any caveats.
His name is Bloodsport. Cap.
What?
They could have written it
His
wrong.
name is Bloodsport.
We don't
they may have
know.
written it wrong.
No, they did write
That's
it
true.
wrong. I'm reading what the man wrote. That one's not me. I'm reading it verbatim. He said Bloodshot. It's not just me. It's easy to do.
See, now every time I
Bunch
say
of
it, I'm
ass
gonna
faces.
hesitate. Be like, wait, which one is it?
I mean, guns
so
work
what I-
with Vin Diesel.
I'm gonna keep sneaking it in on purpose so that you guys will continue to just be confused as to which one it is. I'm gonna make it. My goal is in the next 50 minutes, every one of you guys accidentally says Bloodshot. That's what I'm gonna work on.
So to your point, Austin, because I'm also not a fan of modern Harley Quinn. This is one of the coolest Harley Quinn things I've ever seen.
We start with like the Guardians 2 bit, with like the rockets shooting people from the
Yeah.
console room.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's like fully ripping himself off because it's not the exact same, but like it is a very similar starting point, and then it goes into a different kind of action scene.
I wasn't a big fan of this look initially, but in the context of the movie, I think it works. And I do like the dress combo with the boots.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun choice, and how I like the practical aspect of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it works in the context of the movie. I do wish if we were gonna get rid of some of her tattoos, we'd gone further, like get rid of the heart on her cheek and like the
Daddy's
Whatever it
little
was.
snot.
yeah.
I'm just glad we finally got to see her give a performance where we understood like why she was cast. I mean, there's really good flashes of it in Suicide Squad. Don't get me wrong, but like Margot Robbie needed this movie bad just to justify the people's obsession with her in this role.
It is cool too that we get the red and black color scheme in this
Yes.
because she mostly just has the pink and blue look
That's
in
true.
the previous
Yeah.
movies.
It's just cool how in her head we get. Like just exploring the megalomania, if that's the right word. Or I guess the sociopath, like Robert said
And I
earlier.
just love the comic book nature of she was a therapist and she's taking out like an entire building of armed militia.
She was also an acrobat.
Yeah. And she was raised by nuns, apparently, according to literally a picture in the background of Birds of Prey.
Oh, I missed that.
Wait, because I complained. I was like, I want to know more about this.
I didn't know what you were talking about when you said nuns. I missed it.
It was just a picture of her as a little girl with like nuns, and I'm like, I want to know more about this.
Ryder, why do you think this justified it when this movie bombed, failed at the box office and with critics?
That's not true.
That
like
critics
this movie.
part's like not true at
Yeah,
all.
I think critics like this movie fine. And like, I don't mean to make excuses. I don't know how well this movie would have done exactly outside of COVID, but this was a like real early, just post like lockdown movie. So I didn't see this in the theater. I mean, like a lot of people didn't see this in the
Everything
theater.
was bombing at that point.
Well,
Like,
and people mentioned Spider-Man, and I think right at the beginning of this mentioned Spider-Man. It's like, okay,
That's
you
PG-13.
have
What about
it's
Spider-Man?
PG-13 because Spider-Man comes out like a couple months after and
What,
makes
No
$2
Way
million.
Home?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, okay.
That's also it's later. in COVID, 5 months or 4 months makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, you have
yeah.
that. You have it's PG-13, so if you're an adult and you have kids, it's now harder to go see it. It immediately came out on streaming, so like, what incentive do you have during COVID to go out and see it? And it's a sequel, soft reboot to a movie people didn't like.
Yeah. Like, it's a hard sell in the first place.
There was like a ton of reasons for why this bombs, because he was like, oh, people make excuses for it. I don't agree. Like, this movie 100% bombed, but like, there is a context.
But when I said,
and even if it's true, like that it bombed, clearly Warner Bros. Or even if it's true, like whatever, Warner Brothers is clearly happy with it. They gave the entire franchise to the guy that directed it.
They greenlit 2 show spin-offs.
Yeah,
this.
they didn't blame him for the performance, and
apparently this did really well on HBO.
I was going to say it must have done really
have
well on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw this in theaters and then watched again like the next day on HBO
I think,
Max.
if I remember correctly, it was like the second or third best HBO Max premiere of that year. In the year when they put all of them on, I think it was Mortal Kombat that was number 1.
Because I remember I was like, I
Yeah,
don't
that
know a lot
movie's
about
much
the
better than
Suicide
this.
Squad. I don't know if I'm that excited based
no.
on the last movie, but I do like James Gunn a lot. I'll watch it, and then it turned out being one of the best things I'd seen that year.
But also, when I said it justifies her casting, I mean her material, like what she gets to do, is 5 times more interesting and funny to me than her other 2 movies.
Yeah, no, she's better in like 5 minutes of this than she is in the entire runtime of Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, yeah. Which makes that like the weirdest character trilogy of all time, even over Wolverine.
Yeah, and then clearly both Peacemaker and Creature Commandos do well enough to each get another season.
I mean, Ryder, there's no accounting for taste. Like, you don't have to like those shows. I don't like Peacemaker enough to keep watching it, even just because it's not my bag. Like, I think that pilot is really good, and I have no intention of ever watching any more of it. Like, that just wasn't for me. But
Vigilantes, you're in. Once you get to Vigilante, like
maybe
You
one of
just see
these
it 4
days,
times?
Austin.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these, because I do love Vigilante.
we should watch Party at one night.
I don't know if I can
I'd come up
handle.
with that.
It would be
much of
better
that
than
at once.
She-Hulk.
Well,
Secret
sure.
Invasion. We could also do that for Creature Commandos, which is one that you did like.
Well, Creature Commandos I would like to keep going with, but yeah, like call me a pansy or whatever. It's just like vulgarity and stuff. It's just a little more than I felt like doing. Like it's not like I can't handle it if I have to sit through it, but I just don't wanna. I don't know.
This is my favorite sequence in the movie. I love the song choice. I love the visuals. Like I love this scene so much.
I love that they do the full team shot and they included Milton.
Yes. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm due for a rewatch of Peacemaker. I haven't seen that show since it ended.
Same.
And one of the best shots in this movie is when King Shark grabs the guy and like pulls him apart as the lightning flashes. It's so good.
I
This
really
is
like
maybe
this.
my favorite song.
I really like
Austin,
the
what
shot.
was it you called this song the other day?
What?
What was it you called this song the other day? Because you didn't know the actual title, so you just made one up.
No, I think it was Robert was like, "What is that Hay song?" And I was like, "The Hay song."
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "From the Suicide Squad," and I was like, "Oh, you mean the song called Hay?"
I was just gonna say I really like that shot with the bus.
Wait,
With the
not
rain that just looks like a soundstage and you can't see anything around it. Like the minimalism and then the group walking in the rain. That's not the typical money shot that's like slow motion and we have to see everybody's facial expressions along the line. Like it's kind of just silhouettes.
Yeah.
It's real artsy.
And I love that look
It's real
between
stylish.
Flag and Harley.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of last moment between them.
They're not just being like cool and dramatic. There's actually communication passing between them. Adam March, $5 super chat. Just a reminder that Kat promised to watch Ironheart with John.
I promised no such thing.
That's true. I was there. I
We
saw.
did
it.
Austin
no
was
such-
the one that was like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
We did no such thing. No promises were made. No contracts were signed.
Although it is funny that I keep trying to get out of watching Ironheart, but I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch the Knuckles show with you."
I am also. I almost mentioned that last night. I am also still more willing to watch the Knuckles show. Let's
Me
do it. Let's
too.
double down.
I don't know what it is, but just every now and then I think to the intro to that where they set it to that song "Warrior." It just makes me laugh every time. But like it's like a iPod commercial.
I don't know why, but this movie makes me want to play Fallout. I don't know what
It
it
just
is.
makes you want to play the Rocksteady Suicide Squad game.
Oh.
Which
No.
Fallout?
Why do you guys want to only do terrible things?
Oh.
I mean, that's what you've been doing the past 2 weeks. So, I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. Pot calling the kettle black. But
So,
I don't think
Jason,
you
you've
heard
mostly just been
Jason.
sitting here
John asked
watching.
what Fallout game
Yeah.
you would want to play.
Do you? Are you having kind of the same experience with this again?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's great.
are you still loving it?
Mhm.
Jason hasn't even been really talking much. He's just sort of.
Well, it's because
enjoying
I
this
wanted to
film.
watch this again, and so it's like,
You're good, man. We got plenty of help.
Peacemaker.
And right here is just heel John Cena, and I can't see anything else.
Look, that's very nice. Just put it against the wall.
Nicholas Bodo, do it for Knuckles.
That is another Idris Elba project.
Yep, that's true.
Nicholas Bodo says get Jason on New Vegas. New Vegas is the best modern Fallout.
That is
I
true.
That's the one I want to play.
don't agree, but I have played the first like hour of it. It's good. I have the problem is Fallout 4 was my first Fallout game, and so it's like
Oh.
Yeah, Austin Way doesn't like that game
yeah.
for some reason.
I think it just depends
I
on
mean,
which
Austin's
one you play
also wrong,
first.
but-
I think it really because it's like
Well, I don't have a dog in this. And, I don't play those games. I'm just saying Jason loves that, so I don't know why Austin doesn't and Jason does. Like I don't
I'm
even-
much more of a
When I say for some reason, I literally mean I don't know the reason.
yeah Austin. I just much prefer the combat in it, and I'm
No,
not.
Fallout 4 is a fine enough like combat game. I just think it's a bad RPG.
Yeah,
That's my
and,
main thing
and
with
I'm not as
Fallout
much of an
4.
RPG guy, and so it's
But
like
especially if it's your first one, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't pick up on like some of the stuff they streamlined and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
So that's
And
I
it's
think
like,
it's fair.
oh, you only get 4 choices, and you could be like sarcastic or serious.
Yeah, I was like,
like-
I went in with like a very specific character, and I'm like, oh, I just don't get to play as this character at all.
Adam Marsh, Jason's commentary tonight doesn't compare to his scathing snut commentary. What is the lasting memory of that stream?
Yes.
For those of you
Well,
that
no,
weren't
it's
there,
BVS
Snut,
kids.
Snut
BVS
is the
kids.
Snyder. Snut is the Snyder cut, and what is the Whedon cut, according
Yeah.
to Jason?
Yes. The what?
The what?
Maybe just say it like that. It's the what.
You say it like King Shark, and not always like what.
One thing we were talking about earlier with Harley that she can draw is anything involving children, which is not true with the according to the first movie where she was complicit in Robin's death, but whatever.
Oh,
That kids, like these characters refusing to harm children, is a theme that comes up a lot throughout this movie, and I
Yeah.
do think it's kind of weird that we don't see a lot of kids in this movie. One of my gripes is when Rick Flag in a minute is gonna yell and say they experimented on children. I think that line hits a little harder if we actually see some kids with the other Starro people with stars on it. Like that's really dark and messed up, but I feel like we should actually see that.
What Robert is
They
saying
grew
is
up
he
into
really
full
just wants
Starro
to see
people.
them kill kids on screen.
Yes.
I agree with that. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Robert, that's another criticism. That's insight. That's another criticism I wouldn't have thought of. I think I'm with you on it.
It's
No,
a
that's
gripe, but it's something I wanted to throw out there because I do love this scene a lot, and the body horror, how we use Starro here is just so dark.
Oh god, I forgot.
Well,
you
it's less
see
an
what
issue
happened.
and more like I just wish they pushed it farther. Like
Yeah, the
as
star
opposed to like anything being wrong.
face cut out on the man's face. I don't think I ever noticed that.
Oh, this body
before.
horror is so
It's
good.
so gross. And then later, the lady that knocks out Waller when she's like, "What? They should save that town." Like she says, like, "There's people, little kids." I'm like, that's kind of a weird line. Like, yeah, I can't assume there are little kids there. It's just a weird thing for her to say, but whatever.
Kids exist in Cuba, Robert. You racist.
Like, I think that comes up a lot in this movie.
They picked
Yeah,
the
no, for
best
sure.
They also
actor
exist,
for this
Austin,
role
in
just to deliver
Israel.
this speech.
Dad, how did the rest of
Racist.
the Snut commentary go?
Poorly.
We got through it.
That's good.
Coherently, I'd say.
Exactly.
But one thing we do differently with Starro here than the comics is typically in the comics, like, you could just take the Starro thing off and then you're fine. In this movie, it's like, no, if you get a Starro on your face, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
It's
and
really messed
Superman
up.
was originally supposed to be in this movie, and I always assumed it was so that we could have that image of Superman with the Starro face,
I'm sure.
and
good
then
call.
he gets taken out. But
Which is really funny since the Suicide Squad we're making at the same time is them fighting Superman.
yeah, exactly. No,
He
and I like
left to go
Starro
be
here.
in
He
that
reminds me. I have to imagine Gunn's looking a bit at Halo with like the Gravemind thing in Halo 2. It's always
I
reminded
was
me
thinking
visually
of
of that.
Blood.
That's true, actually.
Well, he's like the main guy of the Flood or whatever, but it's when Starro like pulls
yeah.
him in.
Sorry,
You know what? It's
I
no,
don't
it's
know
okay.
Halo Love very well.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if that was the right name, but it's that
Could
part
be.
when Master Chief and the Arbiter like pulled down with like the tentacles.
Oh yeah, like at the
Yeah.
very end, right?
Yeah, when he's talking to them, it's
the
always
most, like,
reminded.
famous cliffhanger in gaming.
Yeah, well, it's always reminded me of that when he grabs the Thinker.
Also,
Also,
we've got to show you some 12th Doctor just for Capaldi.
Well, he gets one
Also-
of the best lines of this movie, which is the Yankee Doodle Dandies.
Yeah.
Well, that I was saying earlier is they picked like the best guy to play this character just because he has to deliver that speech. Because Capaldi is amazing at just delivering speeches, and his doctor gets quite a few of them.
Yeah, I haven't
That
watched
is true.
Of 12th Doctor. I don't know if I've watched
I hadn't
any 12th
realized
Doctor.
you'd seen any of his Doctor Cap. I thought you fell off with Tennant.
I didn't watch much of it, but I really liked him there.
Okay. Yeah, that's at a weird point where the writing is starting to go down a little bit, but he's just so good that I'm willing to overlook it.
And his death here is very violent and cathartic.
It's so over the top in the right kinds of ways. And him getting dragged away reminds me of the nurse in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. And also, when the people are getting the little Starros on their faces, it's like the face huggers in the Alien movies. He's probably pulling from that.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, to be
Well,
honest
all
with
the
you,
Slither
Horror stuff's really cool.
There's a bit of Slither here too, like going back to his first movie.
of the stuff I actually watched, I mean, I liked all the Doctors besides Matt Smith, who I just never really cared for. And I think I think Tenet is definitive.
Yes.
Eccleston
But
will always be
I
my
just-
favorite.
but I-
Doctor when I'm
But I
watching.
almost like Eccleston a little bit better. I wish he'd been there longer.
I think Exton is just hurt by he's not there as long, so he doesn't have a chance to be more definitive.
He also has one of the most perfect seasons of Doctor Who. There's like one bad episode.
He's ready to change. I believe him.
I
Star's
agree.
looking fair.
Well,
Starro's a
can
monster.
Change into multiple pieces.
I also think it's funny that now that I'm thinking about it, am I right about this? All four of those Doctors play villains in superhero things, and like three
In
of
Marvel
the four
superhero things.
are Marvel things, and so this is the only one that's DC. But like Eccleston is in the second Thor movie. He's Malekith, and then
And the first G.I. Joe.
what's that?
And the first G.I. Joe, he's Destro.
which kind of counts as a Marvel thing.
But even if it
At least the
didn't,
comic was.
you still got Thor, and then
Yeah, no, I was just adding that onto it.
and then obviously with Tenet, you've got
Purple Man.
Jessica Jones, and then
And
with,
he was
I
also
remember
in that. Oh my God, what's his name? Neil Gaiman adaptation show, but I don't know if that's DC or if that's just an original thing.
Oh yeah.
That was
And then-
Sandman.
No,
No, it was
no, something else.
Oh
Good
no,
Omens?
sorry. Good Omens.
and then Matt
And then
Smith
Matt Smith
was in
was in-
Morbius.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
he's the villain in Morbius. So they're all
He does
villains
the
in
sex
superhero movies.
dance.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
He gets the best meme from that movie.
I mean, he's the
When-
best character in that movie.
That's
What
true.
super-
supervillain is Jodie
Yeah.
Whittaker gonna play?
I think he's. I mean, I think Matt Smith is a good actor. I just didn't love him right after Tenet.
I don't. He's
He's
my
picked
least
some
favorite
bad
Doctor,
movie
but I will
projects.
say his run holds up better on a rewatch.
And to
But
be
he
fair,
does
I
just
never
have that
watched
kind
all
of
of it.
unfortunate-
I lost interest. So.
He just have that unfortunate role of being the guy that replaces David Tennant.
This death bummed me out in the theater.
At least in Peacemaker season 2, his father will kick Peacemaker's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
this is
there's a character parallel in a weird way between Peacemaker and Harley Quinn that I never really thought about before with this, where they're both very much in their own little world and their morality makes perfect sense to them. And I guess that's the reason that Peacemaker, just to my point earlier about her being the only one that's fully out to lunch, because and like I guess I'm wrong about that, because it makes sense that Peacemaker is the other one because he's doing Waller's dirty work and you need somebody that far gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Bodo, Purple Man's one of the best villains in anything ever.
Yep.
He's so good. Yeah, whenever you rank MCU villains and you count the Netflix shows, he's like top 3.
And that was
easy.
so nuts right after Daredevil because Kingpin was already amazing and was the best. And like I'm a Kingpin fan. He's the best Kingpin, like characterization wise.
We at least do see here, though, that Peacemaker really doesn't want to do this, but he's still letting himself go that far.
Yeah.
But he does hesitate
He's
for a second.
hesitating a bit.
But he is going to do it.
Yeah, and Austin's point earlier, the nonlinear here really works because you wouldn't want all this intercut. I think we talked about this in the rewind, Austin. But like it would be so clunky if we were jumping back and forth between essentially subplots here. Like you really need to
You
see
also
that
lose so
play
much
out.
suspense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because you have to keep interrupting that big Peacemaker fight, which you're already interrupting
Yeah,
some with the Thinker stuff. So then it would be really overly complicated.
When Peacemaker is about to shoot Ratcatcher, you don't want to be intercutting that with Bloodsport falling because A, his bit's a little bit more comedic, it's a different tone, and also you immediately know what's going to happen.
Well,
This is the best scene of the movie.
It's so good.
Awesome. This is your favorite scene.
It is. I was saying to John before we got on camera, whenever I'm down, I watch the scene and it makes me instantly happy just hearing Stallone go, "No dumb friends."
And the music here is just so good.
Yeah.
I love that they play a bit of this during the end credits, just because it's great. Yeah. And to your point, Cap, like the movie is so well structured in terms of POV. You're not even thinking about it while it's happening. Like they're all splitting up, and then we follow Flag and his crew. You're not even thinking while you're watching that we're just stuck on him for a while. So when you do 8 minutes earlier, it's like, oh right, we haven't even seen the other guys in a bit.
So, Austin,
You're
I do
so
have a
locked in.
question. What are these things? Because they're kind of horrifying.
I have no idea, but they are horrifying. No, and this part's so sad because it's like, oh, he sees these things and he loves them.
Are they
And
like
then they're gonna attack
genetically
him.
engineered fish? Like, did the thinker
yeah.
make them?
And,
I think so.
Probably, yeah.
and what's
It's from
interesting
Starro.
in a way, it's kind of a parallel to that older scene where he tries to eat Ratcatcher.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, no, it's
Oh,
exactly
oh.
that. Like he thinks he's made a friend, and then they start eating him. It breaks my heart every time when they're and if you look closely, there's like a tear going down his eye when he.
Oh.
This scene's hilarious.
That face.
Oh, we quote this all the time.
We did it.
Well, and because one of our buddies used to go by the alias Milton.
Cap, did you know that this bit was almost in one of the trailers, and it tested really well? But he was like, I don't want to spoil that joke. I'm gonna pull that out. I'm glad
Okay,
he
so
did.
that would have been exactly like the tape thing with Guardians 2. Because they do a trailer with that where they play a lot of that scene in its entirety when Star-Lord is just asking everybody for tape. It would have been exactly that.
Milton.
But I think the scene's funny. It immediately goes to another level when he gets up and he's like, "Are you guys kidding right now? Look at him. He's dead."
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
No, don't throw the polka dots.
No.
Them polka dots are dangerous.
Well,
They are. They done blow you up.
It's just wonderful. It goes without saying how tragic and disturbing Polka Dots Man's whole thing is, and how that should just be like a preposterous character to the point where you couldn't find anything about that dramatic. Which is why I want to see Gunn do Crazy Quilt.
Why did he think that bomb
Absolutely.
was his mom?
Well, I think I talked about this during the rewind. The difference between someone like a Gunn and like a Taika Waititi is that Gunn can find the comedy in characters, but his characters are all like deeply sad
Yeah.
at the same time.
The first time I watched this, I thought King Shark was gonna die here, and I was like, no.
I did too, and I
was
was
like,
very scared. But yeah, I don't just like King Shark because he's a funny shark man, voiced by Sylvester Stallone, voiced by King Shark. No, it's also that he's like a very sad character, like that.
Mhm.
No, it's the rocket thing, but different enough to make it unique.
Yeah.
Well, and all of his characters, I think, to some degree, are like that.
Yeah, we
too.
talked about
all
this.
of his main characters.
We talked about that in the rewind.
Yeah, but I
where
mean,
there are
specifically
kind of
with
some
it being
clear
like a
analogs to
CGI
the Guardians characters, but it's never one-to-one.
Yeah.
Like
I
King.
I just mean
King-
with them because they're both like CGI animals.
Yeah. Well, he's also kind of Groot. You know, he was compared
Yes.
to that, but he's different enough. But like King Shark, he doesn't even understand that there's a bomb in his head, right? Like he has no idea what's going on the entire movie. He's just walking and following people.
Well, he's hungry.
Yeah, that's his sole motivation.
If we are, one thing I am glad of we're keeping this movie in canon is some of these characters can come back. Like I want to
Yeah.
see more of Idris Elba's character. God, what? Now I can't remember which one's the real version.
It's
No,
Bloodshot.
don't tell him!
No, I don't know.
Oh my god.
You're missing the part where I want
Ice-
everyone to say it wrong!
That's why I didn't say it.
Freaking Robert, he ruined it. That would have been one down.
He does that.
Jason, does the disembodied head bother you? When he chomps down on the head?
What bothers me more is that his eyes are still working. That doesn't make any sense.
Austin and I have talked about this. There actually is some science to that.
Yeah, his brain's still active, but it's also just
That's true.
like
But like,
a funny kind of grindhousey moment. I'm perfectly fine with that.
he has
No, I
no
love
soul.
He doesn't need a
Oh,
soul
no, he's-
for his eyes to work.
Yeah.
His soul is still there. It's about to be swallowed, though. No dumb soul.
Like people will still sometimes like twitch limbs and stuff after they've been dead for a while.
Sure.
So,
It's
you know-
just the way that he was moving his eyes. He was like, whoa.
yeah. This movie has established its heightened tone to where that works.
Yeah.
We've
No, I think
talked
it
a
does
lot
work.
about how this is not trying to be ultra realistic, and it lets you
You
know
just-
that.
What I like about
It
it.
lets you know that from the very start.
His reactions in the scene are so good.
Oh,
Adam
it's
has
so
really
good.
comedic timing, and I wish more directors would take advantage of that.
He should do more comedies. Yeah.
Adam
He
March
gets-
is
he
right. We
should.
were all wrong.
Often
It's
gets-
dead sport.
There you go,
Just-
dead sport.
Yeah, Robert, because we talked about
No,
this
it's
during
Death
20
Sport.
minutes later. I think the problem is he gets typecast as just generic military guy.
Yeah.
Who
well,
we talking about?
Even Idris Elba.
Alba.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in Pacific Rim, he at least brings a lot of more gravitas to that. He at least
And-
gets to go kind of over the top.
I completely forgot he was in that
He
movie.
can monologue.
Yeah, great monologue.
Yeah, I was
His
looking
son
at
was Finn.
I was looking at his profile page earlier, and it's like, oh yeah, Idris Elba. He's been in movies now grossed like over $9 billion, and I'm like, what? And then you remember Infinity War and the Sonic movies. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes
I was
sense.
gonna say he's in Sonic. Oh yeah, of course he's Knuckles. Who's technically in the Knuckles show too.
Yeah.
I think he had like 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, Idris Elba has been in a TV show where he had to constantly ramble about bowling.
Yeah. I love that Peacemaker earlier had that whole thing about how he eat tiny bullets, and then you see his bullets, they're giant.
You see a dove in the smoke too when he
You
fires
do,
his gun.
yeah.
Oh,
when he
crazy.
fires his gun, the smoke is his symbol. It's awesome.
Adam March Bloodstroke.
Well, no, it's Deadstroke.
Well,
dummy.
what we've learned is that these are all somewhat interchangeable characters. I mean, like we can.
There's a whole Rob Liefeld team that we're throwing out here.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like obviously we can nitpick this and we can talk about the differences between all these characters. Yes, they're there, but like Deathstroke, Deadshot, Deadpool, Bloodsport, and Bloodshot. I got them all.
Bloodsport. Oh, I just completely forgot what his name was at that point. I was trying to think of it for the last like
Of all the
5
things
minutes.
name is
happened in this
Idris
commentary,
Elba.
I didn't expect it to be an ongoing debate on what Idris Elba's character's name is.
No,
Be a
I found
sport.
a comic cover the other day with Bloodsport on it, and I sent that to Austin. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what that guy looks like.
Austin, did you ever read that Peacemaker? I think it was a one-shot from a few years ago.
The Garth Ennis one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because for some reason I forgot about that until right now.
it was okay. There was also that Black Label book. It was like Peacemaker Tries Hard, I think, but I haven't read that yet. I want to read that Peacemaker Season 2 tie-in, because it has Vigilante fighting Velociraptor Hitlers, which is the
What?
greatest concept of all time. It's like Velociraptors with little Hitler mustaches, and they have black coats. I need to read this.
I
I'm
need
mad-
this
I'm-
in my life.
I'm mad at you for not having told me about this.
I think I did at the time, but it was like months ago. You probably forgot.
Okay. All right. Well, we can still be friends then.
Starro looks amazing.
How does it look so
The CGI is
good?
really good.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Austin,
That is
that
terrifying.
that title card you love, Suicide Squad versus Starro. I always forget that you can see Harley in that. She's just so tiny
Oh,
on
crazy.
the ground
I
there.
didn't know
I
that.
It's
completely
so
forgot
good for
about
scale.
that title.
Yeah.
I was.
This is
I,
my first real.
You guys help me right back.
Everybody, fortify your mind.
Fortify your minds.
Cover your faces.
So this is my first real experience with Starro outside of there's like an Easter egg in one of the Arkham games.
Mhm.
So I did not going in when they revealed him. I did not know what to expect.
I don't even remember that. I know
Fortify
he's
your
like
mind.
the DLC villain of Gotham Knights, which is. Sorry, what, Jason?
She basically said "fortify your minds."
I know
Like, that was, like, the
"Cover
version
your
of-
faces."
The one that flies up the camera and then goes back on that guy. It's so good.
And he does like that the exact same shot in Peacemaker. Actually,
Yeah.
it might be a different director in that episode, but they do the exact same shot with the butterflies that attack the police precinct.
Yeah, Austin, my only real gripe with how Starro was used the first time I watched this was just that I was surprised that none of the squad members got a Starro on their face. You could have had a good scene where somebody has to like put them down.
Okay, that
and
one
kill
guy
them.
was like looking for one. Like he was spinning around in a circle until he found one.
Well, he's defeated. He doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
He's having
Yeah.
a Thanos moment.
That's a great. And this fits great. I am now president.
So Austin, I can't
And they're
find
about
the
to
one.
splash blood all over Cat Grant.
They are.
I can't find the one I'm thinking of, but in the Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight, you just see Starro in like captivity under
Mhm.
Oh,
bear or whatever.
weird. I don't remember that.
Probably because it's one of the Arkham Knight DLCs, which lasted like 10 minutes. But
But I played that a few months ago, but I either didn't find that or just don't remember. Because you're right, those are so fast. That is the biggest of them, though.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that has like a little open world. It's got like a little carnival map. The others don't have stuff like that.
I need to go. I haven't revisited that one. I need to.
Hey, Austin, in that comic collection I bought recently, I got these,
Oh, awesome!
Those are awesome.
which is 2 issues of the 1988 Peacemaker miniseries, and I held on to them. I'm not like I don't really care that much about this character, but I was like, oh, that's crazy that I went up with those. So if you end up making the trip in August, these are yours.
Oh, that's amazing. No, because I've been complaining for the longest time that those aren't in print, and then they finally put it in print, and it's not digital, so I just have to buy that book.
Oh, that sucks.
But when I'm going away, I'm thinking about picking it up so I can read it while I'm on vacation. And some of it I already own, like I have his tie-ins to Ostrander, but I'm excited to read all that stuff. And Peacemaker
March,
in
is
this
that for the
movie is
branding
just
collection?
80s Peacemaker.
Yes, that's from
Brandon
the
Boy.
branding collection.
That's great.
So Austin, do you
Yeah.
think even though this movie is still going to be like in canon, he'll consider doing like Starro again for like a proper Justice League movie, or do you think Starro's just done?
Cap
the
asked me
dog.
that last night. You were there, John.
I don't remember this. Are you
It was
sure
like
there?
it was 6 hours into the Snyder Cut. No, I don't know. I could see it going either way.
I'm guessing he wouldn't do Starro again, especially since he did a similar alien plot in Peacemaker season 1. I think he'd probably do some other villains.
It'd be cool if Starro showed up again and was something different, because that whole thing he talks about with the Suicide Squad is kind of canon, but not exactly.
Well,
But,
that's what I was going to say is he probably thinks of this as like so nearly canon or pseudo canon, he wouldn't even think to bring that back unless he did a sequel to it
Yeah.
somehow.
And I think
Yeah.
Starro was mentioned directly in Creature Commandos. I think they mentioned
Oh,
a giant
okay,
starfish or something.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
You know what? I
forgot
didn't
about-
remember that.
I forgot
Okay.
about this. Captain Coon says that Starro is also the main villain of that Super Sons animated movie.
Mhm.
I forgot about
Weird.
that.
Oh, I forgot
I
about
liked
that.
that movie well enough.
It was
I just don't
good.
remember anything about it.
Yeah, it's not sticking with me, but I remember enjoying it fine. John.
I remember the biggest thing that I hated about it was just the animation.
Yeah, the script
Star
was
was
okay.
just like a weird list of adaptations, I guess. You have that, you have this, that DLC for Gotham Knights.
Oh, yeah.
The Gotham Knight one makes sense because it's just like a raid. It's not like a
No, but it's also weird. You could use any Gotham villain. Like, it's weird their first raid villain for the Batman sidekick game was Starro.
My introduction to Starro was that Batman Beyond 2-parter. It's great.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I forgot he was in that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what's cool, he set up in Superman, Austin, Starro in the Fortress of Solitude with all those alien creatures. that Superman keeps. Starro's one of those creatures in the Superman cartoon.
Oh, that's
And then,
awesome.
then they get to actually pay that off in Batman Beyond. It's great.
That is something I think we'll get in the new movie, the like creature zoo thing in the fortress.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I love the score here so much. We talk a lot about the soundtrack in this movie, but I do like the score by John Murphy, who it didn't click for me until recently that he's the guy who does the score for 28 Days Later. And now I hear so much similarities
wow.
in the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, I just watched
It's
that.
so good.
Well, I want to say this is either the first time they worked together because he's like his main go-to composer now, but they might have worked before Guardians. I don't remember. But, like he does this, he does all of Peacemaker, he does Guardians 3, and he's doing Superman.
Robert, you're right. The stakes are discussed too much as being about little kids for there not to be any little kids.
Thank you. That's a gripe I've always had. We get like one shot of one running around
When
in the city.
When she hits Waller over the head and just says little kids, yeah, it's a little weird we're not seeing it. No, you're right about that.
Wording. It's a nitpick. It's a nitpick.
Yeah, I mean,
Choice
it's
to
not a giant issue.
Yeah.
It's not like all the people that are at stake in Star Trek Generations on Viridian 3 that you never see. Like, it's not like that. You at least see people in this town.
Well, it's also funny when you get to the end when he says, "Hey, we just saved a city." I'm like, "Did you know it looks like everyone's dead? We don't get any more shots of any survivors."
I love this gun that he just keeps adding to.
It's
so
a giant
cool.
Nerf gun.
Speaking of
And the
life,
movie is very 28 Days Later. It's awesome. Like the way it just builds.
yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad you brought that up.
It's a fidget spinner gun.
By the way, Robert, when I finally do a deep dive with DCEU, you're just gonna be drafted. Like there's
Yay!
nothing you can do about it.
I'm qualified.
Like you're stuck. You're gonna be
I've seen it
drafted. I mean, some other people can be there too, but I'm a fortunate. Robert knows that continuity way too well. He's gonna have to be there.
I mean, you have a bomb in my neck. You know, I know what the stakes are. I don't have a choice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna prepare for those or if that's gonna be more of a blind watch thing, but I've been talking about it for a while, and I just don't know what the format is yet.
That's your mom.
That's your mom!
This is the other big moment a lot of people say they don't like as a joke. And on first viewing, I get how it seems like a joke, but it's never landed that way for me, the way we kill Polka Dot Man here.
No, I love how they kill Polka Dot Man. He dies in the one moment of getting like any level of happiness because
And
he's
what to do
still
with
like
it.
exactly. And when he goes home, like he's still dying from his disease. Like he gets to live in a moment where he found happiness.
Yeah, I think all these
And
examples of things that people think are too comedic that are supposed to be played dramatic. Again, it's about the context of the piece. It's comedic in a lowercase c, right? Like the whole movie is. That's the tone of the movie. It's a comedic movie. So those scenes.
Absurd.
So those shots are comedic. They're funny out of context because that's what you're living in.
Well, and it's the way the music drops out, and like when we hold on Idris Elba's face, like that's not a comedy reaction shot.
Yeah,
he's doing. He looks sad.
And some of it is
you
more
didn't want that
disturbing in a comedic context.
Like this.
Yeah, for a second we were.
Oh my god,
Walking
that
Dead
reminds
episode.
me. So I just saw the other day Gunn did an interview on like the DC like podcast or whatever, like the official one they have, and they were like, "Oh, you know, what is your favorite thing as a director?" And he was like, "As a kid, I love blowing things up, and as an adult, it's the same. My favorite thing to do as a director is light people on fire."
Which
and he goes,
this movie.
he's like, "You have no idea how good it feels after a scene is done when someone's on fire and they put them out, and you're like." Yeah, they didn't die.
Oh my That's a win.
Yeah, you were telling us
Everybody's
about
getting
one of those
Applebee's
podcast
tonight.
moments in the Discord. It was really funny. I don't remember now.
Oh, it was the Big Bang Theory moment.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a part where he talks about, the tones can be different. Like a character can show up in Superman, and they're not going to be as comedic maybe as they are in Peacemaker, or like as dark as something like Clayface, but like they can all exist, and you get to see different lights of the same characters through things when they reappear. And the one the one host goes, "Oh, like the CW shows," and he's like, "What? No, those are all the exact same."
Yeah.
And so he tries to relate it to her, and he's like, "Okay, think about like the Big Bang Theory. Like, who are the characters in that? I don't know. I assume you guys probably know that." It's really funny.
And Cap, earlier you was talking about how much you like the scene with Ratcatcher and him on the bus.
Yeah.
And they each tell each other, like, "I'm gonna get you out of here alive." We actually get to see that. They both save each other in this climax. And her holding him, it's just because of his rat phobia. It's such a great choice, the way she's, like, protecting him in this scene. I love it so much.
Well, that's also just classic Gunn structure. Like, even on our first viewing, when he says that to her, I'm like, well, yeah, that's in your third act. Like,
When it never fails to make me tear up when we cut to Taika Waititi and he's like, she's like, "Why rats, Master Bruce?" And he's like, "They're the most vile creatures. If they have a place in this world, we all do."
yeah, it's great.
It's such a beautiful moment.
Well, and we talked over it, but that story that he gives about why he fears rats is horrifying.
Yeah.
Where he talks about like his dad would lock him in a room with rats or like in a basement.
Yeah, and like a
He
crate.
made him
I
eat
think.
rats in the Batcave, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, because he's the goddamn Bloodshot's father.
But it's also not a coincidence that Ratcatcher, being like the heart and soul of this movie, is the one character who had a decent parent who actually loved her.
Yes.
Because all these other characters have horrible parents who traumatize
That's
and
why
mess
she's
them
the
up.
heart of the team. That's why they need her.
Mhm.
I want a
And she-
crossover with this and Ninja Turtles so that she can go up against Rat King. I want that so bad. Ratcatcher versus Rat King. Make it happen, Gunn.
I want to see Krang get a Starro.
Yes!
I want to team up with Splinter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
like,
against Rat
uses
King.
her wand and Splinter just starts running for whatever she points it at. Like, it also controls him.
Well, you could do that with Rat King, because Rat King has the ability to control rats. And it would be interesting to put a character like that up against her, because they would have the same power. And Splinter, in an 87 episode, gets controlled by the Rat King because he's a rat. And so you could do a whole thing with that.
Well, and again, what I talked about on the first Suicide Squad, this does a much better job at giving everyone something to do in this climax. And the payoff with the javelins is so great.
Well, and it also is the antithesis to Birds of Prey in that it knows how to splinter characters off for a good amount of the movie, and I don't lose anybody, and I'm still interested in all of them, and it's satisfying when they all come together at the end.
Well,
And
this
it's not
one line
just a
too, like,
team building movie. Like, I've complained about how these DCEU movies, like, too many of them are team building movies, and this is one of those too, but it isn't just you're sitting around until they finally, like, come together to form a team. It's real organic in the way that happens. And they probably don't stay a team at the end. You know, it isn't like this is their origin story. Like, it doesn't watch like that. It watches like a singular standalone movie that different characters could branch off and do their own things with.
yeah, and in one line, Gun Cement Starro was the only good DCEU villain.
Well, part of it is just because he looks so good, and part of it is because he's really
Yeah.
creepy, and then it's because you actually
didn't ask for
he actually
this.
has a plight. You feel
Yeah,
you
it
feel
makes
bad
me really
about.
sad at the end. Like I remember people talking about like, oh, he saved the. I I think Starro just leaves after this. Like he attacks the city because he's pissed off. He's been buried under it
Yeah.
all these years. Like I don't know that he necessarily entire plan. Like this is just a creature lashing out for being tortured.
Doesn't Starro have a line somewhere where it's like the city is mine?
Yeah, he goes, "The city is mine. Leave."
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Nicholas
he needs
Photo
to
asks-
go.
and they're confused because
Nicholas
they
Photo
think
asks-
he's actually a conqueror, and it's like he's trying to take the city over. It's mine in that way.
Well, it's what I love about how they make him a Suicide Squad villain. In that, when you have him, just he is this alien conqueror that comes down. He's going to invade. But here, he's not that. Like that is what the U.S. government wants
It's
him
misunderstood.
to be, which is exactly what the Suicide Squad is. Like that's how we turn him into a Suicide Squad villain.
Nicholas Bodo asks, "Hey guys, do you find it interesting how Gunn's villains like Amanda Waller, Ego, and the High Evolutionary are all motivated by need to change and control everything, despite them already having so much power?"
Yeah, no, that very true. That is very much a common theme he likes to go to.
Well, and I mean, you can argue he's going to continue that with Superman and Lex Luthor.
With yeah,
Yep, of course.
That's why I think you might be right that he ends up doing Batman, because if he does Raish, that's another character you can do that with.
Well, especially if they're doing Batman and Damian, Gunn loves his father-son story.
yeah.
That's such just a common theme in his movies.
But yeah, Lex should be the ultimate culmination of that whole thing.
No, that's not. Yeah, num.
Well, we talked about this in the rewind, but Starro has a lot in common with these actual characters. So
This song
like
choice is just so perfect.
His tragedy is similar.
Yeah, and the soundtrack's so different from Guardians and Peacemaker and Creature Commandos, but it's really good. Although I will harp on him because he's got for the Guardians movies and for this, he's got soundtracks on Spotify of like unused songs, and he did cut the best song that would have been in this movie. So I will harp on him for that.
How could there be anything better than People Who Die, though?
That is a good one.
It's really good.
Like the
No, there's
only
a Spanish
that guy
song that
wrote.
almost made it into this. That's like really good.
Yeah, Jason and I have deep dived into that guy a little bit, and that is his only great song.
Oh,
And it's the only thing
I
on
didn't in a row.
the album that it's on that sounds like that. It's bizarre. That's,
You know what it
there's
is,
another
Cap?
song I like okay on that album.
I only
You know
like
what
it
it
because
is?
it's hilarious.
What's that? What's that, Austin?
it's the Suicide Squad in the DCEU.
Yeah.
You go, oh, there's this one really good thing.
That's true.
Also, credit to Gunn. This movie is 2 post-credit scenes. If you count this Weasel one, they both have already paid off. We get Weasel and Creature Commandos, and then Peacemaker comes back in his show. So, good job, Gunn.
Yep. I
did
mean,
not-
I feel like both movies we watched tonight will like really pay off their after credits.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really weird double feature.
What even is Black Adam's?
He's gonna he's gonna fight Superman because Black Adam has to
yeah.
assert his dominance over the DCEU over Superman.
Yeah. No, that is.
It's not as good as the Super Pets one though.
Because it's the showdown we've all been waiting for, but just didn't realize we've all been waiting for.
No one was waiting for that.
I know.
Yeah.
The Rock was.
That's true.
He's the only one. Austin, let's read the rest of these comments, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think it's your turn.
Okie
I'm not sure.
dokie. Okay, I read Captain Coon. Cereal and Pigs Fly. My favorite moment is the shoot off between Peacemaker and Bloodsport. The thing I would change is get rid of Harley Quinn. I don't really story. The thing that surprised me was Starro being in the movie and it actually working in live action. It's just like what Cap always says: any idea can work. You just have to make it work.
And there's like 4
Question.
of those in this.
Yeah. Question: of the original team from the beginning of the movie, who would you have liked to see stick around instead of dying?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I'm
Captain
sure there's all
Boomerang.
kinds of interesting
Captain
things you could
Boomerang.
have done with
The
Savant,
Weasel.
but the whole point of him is his death, so like I wouldn't really want to lose that.
For who? Sorry, Cap.
For Savant.
Oh, okay. How about you, Jason?
Huh?
So I don't actually
the-
know what my... Well, I guess it's probably Arm Fall Off Boy or whatever his name is.
Oh, TDK. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best?
What character that's killed in the opening would you wanted to see stick around? That was the question.
That is a good question. I'm not sure. Probably TDK.
Well, in TDK technically survives.
Right.
We don't see
Yeah.
him die. And I remember really
Okay.
hoping he'd be in Peacemaker, but now that Nathan Fillion's playing Guy, I don't care anymore.
He could
That's
still
fine.
do
Yeah.
both. He could still come back for like a scene.
Oh yeah.
There's also a part in that podcast I listened to where that host that talks about how she loves the CW shows starts berating him for giving Guy Gardner the bowl cut, and he was just like, "Well, no, of course I was going to do that." And he's Nathan Fillion. Like, do you think I wasn't going to give him the bowl cut?
Yeah. And why does anybody not want that?
I don't know.
That's what
I
that
guess if
character
you
looks
love
like.
the CW shows,
And sure, maybe it's dated, but what? Yeah, but what does him with the bowl cut have to do with the CW shows?
I was just saying she's bad taste.
Oh, clearly, yeah. But I mean, like, he still has that in the comics now. Like, yeah, it's dated, but we've always kept it.
Mhm.
Bag
Yeah,
Studios.
no, but
Bag
great.
scene, bag scene, best scene. King Shark at the fish tank warms my heart. Thing he'd change. Walter shouldn't survive, in my opinion, and the fact that she's a stooge of the team by the end doesn't ring believable to me. Biggest surprise that it never becomes the Harley Quinn show, even though she basically gets her own one shot, as I think Austin has put it before, in the middle. Coming off of Birds of Prey, I thought the studio, if nothing else, would force her front and center. Furthermore, I was surprised how much I enjoyed that segment, again, because of Birds of Prey, but her escape was my runner-up for best scene.
Yeah, I remember he's talked about like how much trust they put in him to make this. They never backed down on this being a $200 million R-rated movie, and B, I know he's talked about how they gave him like free reign to kill anyone he wanted and could have killed Harley if he wanted to. Part of me has always kind of doubted that, but I
too.
mean, if it's true, then that is cool.
I also think he got more free reign at this point in the DCEU than he would have earlier, because
Yes.
it's such a wash at this point. Now, I don't know how surprised we really should be that, like, you know, they've had a lot of duds and people are not caring at all at this point, and they don't even feel like they really have a cohesive universe. So James Gunn comes in when he gets kicked out of Marvel, and they're like, thank God James Gunn is here. Maybe he can make a thing that anybody will actually want to go watch. And we're surprised he's getting carte blanche. Like, what do they have to lose?
Mm-hmm.
But the Harley
And
part, that is
unlike-
the bridge too far, I would think. Like, they're probably thinking there's no way he kills her off. And if he had, I think they probably would have argued.
They probably
a
would have been
little
like,
bit.
"Are you sure you want to do that?"
Yeah.
I do feel like they
Sure about
probably would have.
that?
Yeah.
Well, I know he said that they would be like, should we maybe lower the budget? And he'd be like, no.
I do think if Birds of Prey was a bigger hit and was received better, then that would be a harder no. Of no, you
Yeah.
can't kill Harley. But given how that movie turned out the way it did, they probably were like, eh.
I'll be glad they didn't go further on those like 600 other Harley Quinn movies they wanted to make.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I don't know how much I buy full carte blanche, like carte blanche with what to do with the story, but like, I always assumed she was there because that was like one of the couple of studio mandates that probably gave him, was like when he took that, well, okay, you still have to have Harley. but
Yeah, I don't know. He does have a history of talking about how much he loves that character, so it is possible that he would have done her no matter what.
because the way she works in it and the way he talks about it in his commentary, I remember it sounding like she was sort of in the way and had to figure out what to do with her. But maybe even to him it was a given, like, well, why would I not use her if I get to do Harley Quinn? But then how does she fit in my story? Maybe that's all it was.
It could be that. I know he had that issue with Adam
Yeah.
with Guardians 2, and then obviously he removed him.
Can you go ahead and read another one?
Yeah, this is my last one. Super Bully, best thing is the opening. The thing I would change is cast Idris Elba as a different DC comic character instead of obvious Deadshot substitute. I mean Bloodsport. And then the thing he's most surprised by is that he didn't care for it.
Yeah, a lot of different opinions with this one. Joe Turner, favorite scene, realizing we were getting Starro on the big screen. Close second is every other scene in the film. What main thing would you change about the movie? I can't think of anything. What surprised you? How good John Cena was as Peacemaker? He was my only worry going in, but Gunn used him extremely effectively. I guess also this made me care about Rick Flag. Do you think there are any other modern trilogies that get better with each installment? Well, the big one I always talk about is Wolverine, which has the exact same track record that this does. Well, not exact, because I don't like Birds of Prey. But if you think Birds of Prey is at all a step up from that first movie, it's the same trajectory with the Wolverine movies. I don't know if you guys have any other examples of, and it doesn't have to be superhero, but like
I'm
a
trying to think of
trilogy
one
that actually escalates in quality.
I was just happy to get a good movie with this Harley Quinn and for the Suicide Squad.
And
like,
for this DC universe.
I wouldn't say this is exactly the movie I wanted from the first Suicide Squad. I was just happy with these characters and this setup.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the scale of it, like Quarter Maltese, like the locations and sets. It's such like a breathing, real place, and we explore so much of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That beach set, you know, like that's all in a soundstage, and it looks amazing. Water and the trees and everything.
Mm-hmm. And we're doing the Black Ops thing. We dumped them into a place to clean up our mess.
Well, it's ironic that another anti-hero movie about characters that are questioning whether they have souls is the movie that finally has a soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is obviously my favorite DCEU movie, and I think I've settled in on this just being my favorite James Gunn movie. I know Austin probably prefers the Guardians movies. I love Guardians 2. I mean, I like all three. But for a while, this and Guardians 2 were neck and neck for me, and now I'm like, oh, this was just my favorite. I've rewatched it so many times.
So they are neck and neck. I think this is probably a better movie, but I would like Guardians 2 more than this. And then I go back and forth between Kick-Ass and my favorite R-rated
Guardians 2 is a better movie than this. But also, I am like the only person in the world apparently that thinks that Guardians 2 is the best Guardians movie.
Also has that.
It's the
Guardians 2 is
It
the
is
best
the best
MCU
Guardians
movie.
Okay.
I won't go that far, but it is the best Guardians movie.
And I continue to be out on a ledge where I still don't think it ever gets better than the first one. But
see, I like the first one. See, I went back through the Guardians movies because I was like,
and I also think I like 3 better than 2 at this point. But
the thing is, 2 just has all of the like jokes and stuff that I quote.
sure.
Also, it has a way better third act than the first movie, in my opinion. I think the first movie,
Way better.
You honestly are right.
I think the
about
first
that,
movie's
but-
third act goes on too long, and just kind of.
Well, Guardians 1's a really good setup movie, and like it has more that. Like it's not entirely just that, but like that's the biggest strength of it. And then Guardians 2 and 3 get to with everything that one sets up.
And 3 is great, but I can't really compare it. If you know what I mean, like it's just kind of a different movie.
No, you're right about all that. I'm not going to try to explain myself.
Then it's got Kurt Russell, so it just makes me happy. It gives me dopamine.
I mean, the villain is what really sells 2 for me over the and I need to see 3 a couple more times.
When 2 is the best soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One
Well, that's true.
one biggest weakness is just I don't care about the villain. He's kind of lame.
Mm.
Yeah,
And I feel like he took that criticism and like shot off because he's not had
Yeah.
villains.
I'm gonna go ahead and read
Well-
the other comments real quick. Sorry to cut you guys off, but we don't want to go too long because we've got another movie to watch.
Yeah.
Black Adam Mania.
That's it. Yeah, I've got 3 more of these real quick. Joe Turner, favorite.
No, you just
wait.
did
I
that
already
one.
did that. Hold on. Okay, great. Favorite scene. I love this movie. Seeing a star on the big screen was a euphoric experience. Close second, King Shark looking out the van window. What he'd change, honestly, nothing. Maybe add back some of the deleted scenes. I do miss the explanation for why Waller sent Flag with the decoy squad because he made fun of her shirt. Very petty. I love it. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was going to mention when we were about that. There's a setup for why she sends Flag to die.
And the thing
And
I'm
it's,
surprised
again,
by,
like a very petty reason.
they killed Milton. Question: could Will Smith's Deadshot have worked in this instead of Bloodsport? I mean, I think it could have. I'm still glad that's not what we got because I actually think Al was really good in this. But I think it's possible it ends up being more or less the same thing. Maybe I would have been more distracted by Will Smith. I don't know, but like it could have.
One, I just thought was better actors. Like he maybe like would just play it overall better than Will Smith. My big question: would Leto's Joker work if he were in this movie?
I mean, the writing could have been
Yeah.
better, and then you'd at least on paper be more interested in it. But I don't know about the performance.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it would have been better.
Sakib Tariq, what's your favorite scene or moment? Okay, he's being very silly here. This is Katana. She's got my back. What main thing would you change about each movie? I would advise not getting killed by her. What surprised you most when you saw this? Her sword traps the souls of its victims. We're being trolled, folks.
Did Austin write that?
No, Austin did not write that. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We're going to take a break and come back with another stream. So we'll X this one out and then put another one up here in a minute. And we're going to come back and watch Black Adam, which is going to be fascinating because I've not seen this since the theater. I watched this one time, and I'm curious to see how much of this comes back.
And I haven't seen it at all yet, so.
Oh, yeah, we get to watch
Seen
John
it.
experience this for the first time.
Oh, man.
Is anybody leaving or is everybody staying for this?
I'm leaving.
I'm staying.
Yes, Jason has to go to bed, but everybody else is staying.
Yeah, I am not missing Black Adam. Blackest Adam.
Jason, any final thoughts about Suicide Squad? Because you didn't really get to say a lot.
It's still great. It's still great. And
James was locked in. He was like, I'm just enjoying this.
and my favorite
He forgot the other 4 of us were even here.
And no, I didn't. I enjoyed the conversations that I was hearing.
No, you kept going, God, shut up, everybody. I'm trying to
No.
watch this movie.
No, and my favorite scene is still the opening scene with people who died.
It's maybe my
great.
favorite opening in anything. And, like, it eclipses Watchmen now, which was way up there. And, of course, I love the openings to the Guardians movies. The first one and the second one's great, too. I mean, they're all good, but...
When we talked about this during the rewind and didn't hear, but it is still that was the scripted opening song for James Gunn's Dawn of the Dead script.
Oh,
And then
right.
Snyder changes it, and then he gets to do a DC movie. It's his intro song.
It's hard not to think that was intentional, but it's also just it's just correct. Like,
It's just the right choice, yeah.
appropriate. Yeah.
No, he probably never thought about it twice. It was just, this is a song I want to put in a movie somewhere.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you're watching live, And thanks for watching After the Fact. If you're doing that, we will see you again here in just a few minutes if you want to stick around for Black Adam. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan. We had Jason. We've got Robert, John, and Austin. And thank you guys for watching the best of these with me. It's nice to have such a big panel to watch good films with and bad films with, as we'll see here in just a few minutes. Good night, everybody, and see you again in a few minutes if you're coming back.